Let's hope that this thing goes live soon. There we go. Sup, ladies and gentlemen, Accolon here, and welcome back to each of one of you. And of course, if you're watching this over on YouTube, please remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and click the link in the description down below. It's always better when it's live. Mr. Smokin', good morning to you, brother. How you doing? First, again, you retain your title. Alex, how you doing, brother? Oh my god, dude. Why is the music so fucking quiet? Oh, I turned it down. Never mind. I remember now. There we go. Simpson, how you doing? I'm good. Just finished the big bowl of Cocoa Crisps. What the fuck's Cocoa Crisps? I don't know what that is. We've got Cocoa Pops here. And I think we've got another type of cocoa something. I've never heard of Cocoa Crisps, though. Although, to be fair, I don't eat cereal. It's probably been more than 2 decades since I've last had a bowl of cereal. How are you doing today? Tired. I completely overslept. I woke up less than an hour ago, like 49 minutes ago. I woke up at 2 o'clock, and I got in the shower, got ready, and hit go live. So yeah, I've been... I'm tired. Germanio, how you doing? Yeah, what's cracking? Ilithus, how you doing? Mikimoto, how you doing, brother? It's like Cocoa Rice Krispies. Ah, okay. Trying to make the new intro render correctly for the ESO channel. Alex, I have 2 people that have reached out and basically said if we ever hire another editor, they would love to apply for the job. One of them actually sent me their channel where they do their own videos, so I'll forward that shit to you so you can take a look. Good, getting tattooed as we speak. Fuck me. How many tattoos are you gonna get, Giovanni? Oh hi, I was just watching a replay of one of your lore lives, and here you are. How you doing? Tati from SK, how you doing? Happy to have you here. I am doing very well. Thank you very much for asking. Let's go ahead. Let me finally be the one to judge. Yeah, well, you would be the one to decide whether or not their style works. Tired. I've been up all night binge playing Star Trek Online. I love that game. Been playing since launch. It's a fun game if you want to fly a spaceship and pew pew with phasers or explore a strange new world. Mr. Smokin', based on what I've seen from Star Trek, it's not my type of game, right? I don't think I'll be playing it. I don't think I'll be playing it. Elbow's ass, but you're gonna be my pain distraction. You're getting a tattoo on your elbow. I would not get it. I would not get a tattoo, period. Just because I don't see the point. But on my elbow specifically wouldn't. That shit is way too fucking sensitive. You will all, how you doing? I don't see the point in tattoos, to be fair. You go sit down so someone can paint on you. Just take a pen and write something on you and then wash it off as soon as you're over it. I'm happy to hear that, you will all. I'm still waking up, so you guys have to fucking bear with me. My eyes are still not really adjusted to the light. I'm still tired. Still fucking tired. It goes to elbow. No, fuck that. You will all, what's the plan for today? I've got a couple of videos that I want to watch. Germanio sent through some personality test that she wants me to take live on stream, so we're gonna find out whether or not I'm a psychopath, I suppose, on stream. And then whatever else, you know. Do you have a Discord? I do, actually. This Stream Elements just highlighted there for you. I do have a Discord, yes. I forgot. Yusek, how you doing, brother? If I remember correctly, that's how I'm supposed to pronounce your name. Yusek. Arrow, how you doing? So the Discord, by the way, it's the community Discord. It's run by the mods. I'm not personally involved in the Discord, mainly because I don't have time. I don't have time to be as involved in the Discord as, you know, you should be. If I was just streaming, I'd have plenty of time to run the Discord as well. So the Discord is where people hang out and just sort of do their thing, discuss things, and I check in once a day. Like, I'll read through most of the channels once a day just to see if there's something cool going on. Sometimes I'll respond, but a lot of the times I'm literally just lurking in my own Discord. And then sometimes, and this happens rarely, but it does happen, I'll find a game that I want to play with the community. So then I'll jump into a voice channel and play video games. Most of the time, though, it exists for people to DM me and tell me their theories and stuff, which I love. Ursaya, how you doing? Snubby, the fat man, is in the house, bro. How you doing, brother? I'm still waking up. I am so fucking tired. It is unreal. I could go to bed now. Like, I could fall asleep for at least another 2 hours right now. I was up up this morning, actually, till about 8:30, uploading videos to the channels. So I had very little sleep. Is BlizzCon in the winter? I don't want to wait till February. Is BlizzCon coming in February? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think you're going to be waiting longer than February for a BlizzCon. Thanks to you, I started Final Fantasy 14. Yes! Good job, bro. Good fucking job. And following the MSQ as you recommended and enjoy it. I reached level 53 so far. It's such a good game. We're going to be playing it tomorrow on stream. Friday, Final Fantasy Friday. Every Friday we play Final Fantasy. I don't care that most of you don't like that game. I give you 3 days a week where I do things that you guys love. And then 1 day a week I take for myself and I do something I love, which is play Final Fantasy. Otherwise, I would literally play Final Fantasy every day of the week. Every single stream day would be a Final Fantasy day. I don't do that, but Fridays is mine. Fridays, I'm fucking playing Final Fantasy. It is such a good game. The fact that there are people that don't like Final Fantasy makes no sense to me. Especially if you're part of this channel. You care about lore, you care about story, and somehow you don't like Final Fantasy, the game itself is just superior to WoW in story and lore. I'm doing super great. Just got home. I'm going to eat something and stick around a little. What's on today's schedule? Tati from SK. I haven't decided yet. A lot of the time, Thursdays is more just whatever chat brings up. Right? I do have a couple of topics that I'm happy to jump into. I've got quite a few videos that I've wanted to watch this often, before the stream that I couldn't get to. So I'll probably watch that. There's a personality test that we have to take. I don't have cat ears. I don't. Nor will I ever get any. But it's 5:30 a.m. and my 2-year-old is awake. Jesus. That's why you don't have kids? They don't sleep. They don't sleep through the night. I think I would die if I had a child that was waking me up at sort of weird hours. I have no personality. That's a lie, Savan. By the way, I come from Australia and I had a professor who was South African. We talked a fair bit about what it was like over there. Hope you're in a safe area. Ilithus, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. And yeah, there's a shit ton of people from South Africa and Australia. I have family there, actually. It was the weirdest thing. So my uncle and his wife and their children moved from South Africa to Australia. But their youngest was very young. He was like 2 years old when they moved. And they came to visit like 6 or 7 years ago. They came to visit South Africa. And their youngest son can understand Afrikaans, but he can't speak it, right? So he can understand Afrikaans, can't speak it. He's got a full-blown Australian accent when he speaks English. He's Australian. He's no longer a South African. It was just very weird to see. It's just, what the fuck happened there? So I actually have family that lives in Australia as well. They love it there. He actually sleeps from about 8:30 to 5, 6 a.m. He's a good sleeper. I was not a good sleeper. If I remember how my mom described me, I hated sleeping, and I still do. I am still in my old age. Like, I'm one of those adults that never got over the bad relationship that you have with sleep. You remember as a kid, right? Sleep felt like a punishment. I still feel that way. Like, sleeping is fine, right? It's not horrible, but it wastes a lot of time. Like, I'm one of those people that wish we just didn't have to fucking sleep, so that I could get more shit done. Be weird to experience. I mean, it is, but at the same time, the fact that I want to leave South Africa as well, I don't want to live in South Africa. I am fully aware that if I have children one day, they're most likely also going to be able to understand Afrikaans, but they won't be able to speak it. They'll most likely have an accent of wherever I live in the world. So, it is what it is. Hopefully, he can't even hope, because his children will not even be able to understand Afrikaans, right? Because he can't speak it. So, it's just like, yeah, it's the death of a culture, I suppose. Which is sort of sad, because it's not like we have a big culture, right? There's about 1.8 million Afrikaans-speaking people in the world. Actually, no, I'm lying. There's 1.8 million Afrikaans-speaking people in South Africa. There's about 3 million Afrikaans-speaking people in the world, right? So, as a culture, it is a very small culture. That's fine, Germanio. Coffee done. Time to join stream. Yes. I'm still working through my coffee. Wild Boy, how you doing, brother? Like, I'm not gonna say, look, I see the chat going on and people talking about BlizzCon, people talking about Blizzard. I'll say the following, okay? I don't think we should expect a BlizzCon for at least this year or next. Maybe at the end of next year, you could see a BlizzCon. The reason I don't think February will see a BlizzCon is what are they going to show? What are they going to show us that they have not already shown us? I don't think they have any new expansions ready. I don't think they have any real news to share on Overwatch 2. I don't think they have any real news to share on Diablo 4. So they definitely can't share anything about Diablo 2 because it's already launching. So there's nothing to show. There would be no reason whatsoever for Blizzard to have a BlizzCon, even a BlizzCon line, yeah? Not only that, I think after the massive fallout and everything, Blizzard is in PR fixing mode. Having a BlizzCon now would invite a lot of negativity from a lot of players out there. HOTS, Jesus, yeah, okay. They're going to announce one new hero on HOTS, maybe. Let's be real, Heroes of the Storm is dead. So the main issue is it's going to look bad, right? It's going to look like Blizzard is trying to go on as usual, even though there's a lot of problems within the company right now. So I would definitely not be... I would not be holding my breath for a BlizzCon line early next year, like February, like we had last year or this year. And I would say it's about 50-50 for the end of the year. Now, to the second point that was made in chat about Blizzard, who keeps punching themselves in the nads whenever we turn around, it's entirely the player's fault. And yes, I'm blaming all of you and myself. I'm blaming everyone. I'm blaming every single player. Remember, people can only get away with whatever you allow them to get away with. So let's look at a relationship. If your boyfriend or girlfriend cheats on you and you take them back, right? You have effectively told them it's okay. You are allowed to sleep with other people because I will forgive you. So when they do it again, that's your fault. You are responsible for the pain that you're currently suffering. It's not their fault. They were always a dickhead, right? It's like literally, this shouldn't be news to you. They were always a piece of shit. You were the idiot who thought that they wouldn't do it again when you literally gave them carte blanche to do it again when you took them back. if you don't want Blizzard to act like a spoiled little child that can do pretty much whatever the fuck it wants, then you have to punish them when they do bad shit. It is literally as simple as that. And that's what players did. And everyone seems to now be sort of like upset that Blizzard is changing their ways. Like, oh, Blizzard is just changing because people stop paying them. Well, yeah, of course they fuck. What the fuck are you talking about? Of course, that's how it's supposed to happen. That's what's supposed to happen in a free market economy. People stop supporting you, you change your ways, or you die. It's as simple as that, right? So, I mean, it's ridiculous to me that people are now suddenly surprised that Blizzard is changing their ways because, you know, people are stopping their monetary support. So if you don't want Blizzard to keep punching themselves in the nads, you have to be the one to say no. So as soon as Blizzard does something, and believe me, my eyes are wide open. I am paying close attention to this PTR. I'm paying very close attention to the feedback of this PTR. And if I see Blizzard even fucking once going, you know, if this is broken, we'll balance it in a future patch, that's me out. That's me fucking out. I'm sorry, I'm not paying you $15 a month so that you can balance it in a future patch. The reason there is a PTR is so you can balance it now. And if you can't balance it now, then remove it from the fucking game. Because if it can't be balanced in a PTR, then clearly this thing can't be fucking balanced, right? So that's my stance on it. If you cannot balance something in a 3-month period of time, then that thing can't be balanced and it should be removed from the game. Don't give me this bullshit of we'll balance in the future. Go fuck yourself. You're not balancing the game. You are not balancing the game on my dime. That's not why I pay you $15 a month. I pay you $15 a month so I get a good game to play. I'm not paying you $15 a month so you can fuck me over later. No. You fix it now. Don't give me any of this bullshit. We'll balance it in the future patch. No. You'll balance it now, or if it can't be balanced, you'll remove it from the game, or you'll change it fundamentally. But this is up to players. Players have to stand up for themselves. And players aren't standing up for themselves. That's the problem. Far too many players are I don't know what the fuck you're hoping for. Are you hoping that the government will step in? Is that your hope? That someone removes the responsibility from you and the government steps in to do the fixing? Because believe me, if we invite the government into the gaming industry, it's fucked. It's fucked. The gaming industry is done. As soon as the government gets involved, it's done. There will be no more games. Good luck. Good luck with your fucking games, right? Because they're not going to go well. At the end of the day, you are responsible for how companies treat you. If you complain, and I see this so fucking often, dude. I see this so fucking often. People complain about capitalism from their iPhones. It's like, you piece of fucking shit. You are complaining about a system that literally is responsible for the device that you hold in your fucking hand, right? But you don't have the conviction to not support the company that you hate. It's what we call champagne socialists. That Hassan guy on Twitch, what the fuck ever his name is, they're champagne socialists. These are people who are socialist only in name. They have no idea what real communism and socialism would look like. I mean, if you're a socialist and you go out and you buy yourself a $3 million fucking home, go fuck yourself. Just go fuck yourself. You're not supposed to do that. It's easy. It's easy to complain, right? It's easy to sit in your ivory tower and complain about the system that's holding everyone down while you buy 3 million rand home or dollar homes. Sure. Okay, no problem, bro. And the funny thing is, people keep watching the fucking the Pretender. People keep watching him. People keep thinking, yeah, he's standing up for the little guy. He's laughing at you. You're literally buying him homes, and he's getting rich because you're a fucking moron. You have to have the principles. If you truly believe that the capitalist system is evil, burn your PC, burn your phone, burn your clothes, basically burn down your home, because everything that you own is a result of capitalism. Everything you own. So then stand on your principles. Remove that shit from your life. Go live in a fucking tent somewhere in a commune, and then complain all you want about capitalism and the free market. And also don't buy food, because almost all of the food that you have is the direct result of capitalism. So basically complain about capitalism right up until the point that you starve, and then we're rid of you, so it's no longer a problem. You want to do communists where USSR, even China, leans on free markets? Yeah, because Mao realized very quickly communism doesn't actually fucking work. People starve under communism. You guys do know, can I just ask chat? And I don't want to get too political, because okay, we're actually getting political, we're getting economical. But most of you know how many people Hitler killed, right? 7 million. All in all, I think the death toll for all of the wars was something like 21 million. Right? Most people know this. Am I right? Is there anyone here who's sort of disputing that? Going, no, wasn't that high? Or wasn't that low? The problem is, Seven, they will never admit to any type of wrongdoing, whether in-game or in the real life, but they did admit to wrongdoing. That's the point. But I want to know from chat, is anyone disputing that? You do know that and most of us agree that Hitler and the Nazis were completely and utterly fucking wrong, right? They deserved the fate that they got. But why is no one ever focusing on the death toll of communism? That's what I would want to know. Why is no one is ever focusing on the death toll of capitalism? You do know that there are 3 numbers, and all 3 of the death toll numbers for communism is far fucking higher than what Hitler and the Nazis did. The first estimate of people that died under communism worldwide is 30 million. The next one is 70 million, and the one that most people agree is probably the right number is 120 million people worldwide that died from communism. On a numbers to numbers comparison, communism is worse. It is the absolute blight. And those people didn't even die from a quick gunshot. They died of starvation. They died in fucking death camps. The gulags and shit. So, you know, people need to wake the fuck up and realize communism is not I saw this meme. When was this? There was a meme. This guy, it was a conversation that was turned into a meme. This girl basically tweeted out, so what's all of you gonna do once communism wins and communism now rules the world? And this one girl tweeted out back at the person asking this and said, I'll probably go live on my farm and raise crops and do paintings and also make sweaters and stuff for the local community. And someone just replied there in brackets, like in quotation marks, my farm? Just asking the question, my farm? You see, that's what these fucking morons, this is why modern education is a complete and utter joke. Because most people don't realize under communism you own fuck all, and you're not going to be able to sit around and do nothing. The government is going to put you in a factory and they're going to work you to death. There were signs that said don't eat your children. Oh shit. You don't have a farm, the state does in communism. Truth. Hello, okay, how you doing, man? Omar X, how you doing, brother? Ignoring and Germans invading Russia, plus killing our generals and more countless deaths. The dipsticks forget that the state owns everything. Yeah, they also don't seem to realize that the state isn't going to pay you to sit at home and do nothing. The state is going to want you to do stuff for the money that it's going to give you. No, you should never trust any system that suggests that it will bring about utopia. Like, the second a system promises utopia, walk away. Walk away, you're going to be invited into a death cult. Like, in 2 years' time, you're all going to be jumping off a fucking mountain or something. There is just no such thing as a utopia. It's humans. Humans are flawed. You can't build utopia with flawed individuals. The closest we could probably ever come to utopia is if the world was run by AI, right? So you had an AI that could think through every single thing that could happen. When it made a decision, it already looked through every possible truth. So much like a Void Lord, right? It looked through every possible scenario. It decided on the best course of action that would also lead to more prosperity for the world. That's the only way you could ever get to utopia, right? Julo, how you doing? Utopia exists only in the dreams of madmen. I don't want utopia either. You guys do realize there's been so many studies done that shows that utopia would be the death of humanity. Like, humans wouldn't do well in a world without suffering. Humans are biologically wired to thrive on suffering. It's what leads to innovation. It's what leads to us coming up with better things. I was watching this documentary last night? 2 nights ago. I was watching this, not documentary, it's a video about airships. Have any of you seen those? Like, they're working on airships right now. I mean, airships are pretty old. They were used, like, since the early 1900s. Even during World War II, Hitler and his people had airships. Airships are... It's a replacement to airplanes, right? So, where you would have airplanes that basically an airship uses 90% less fuel and carbon emissions than what a plane would do. And if you look at the inside of the new airships that they're building, it's insane. Just how much luxury you're going to be flying. Because they can be much bigger and they can actually carry a far bigger load than what most airplanes can. So, I mean, they showed the inside of one of these airships where you can literally rent a cabin, like a cabin inside the airship on your flight to the North Pole at the moment. Like, they're taking people to the North Pole, and you have a bed, a little couch, like a little mini bar all inside your cabin. Now, it's still very pricey. It's about $79,000 for one of these cabins. But obviously, as production keeps picking up, it'll eventually get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Kane Death, how you doing, bro? Yes, I would love to leave South Africa. It would be... It is definitely on my list of things to do. Now, there is a couple of things that could stop that. So, one thing is, should the Western Cape get independence? So, should the independence vote happen and the Western Cape votes for independence and the Western Cape leaves South Africa, I will probably not leave South Africa. I'll just live in the Western Cape and not be part of South Africa anymore. So if that happens, then, you know, no problems. Then I can stay. If that doesn't happen, then yes, I would love to leave South Africa. Wild Boy, there's currently about 8 parties in South Africa all wanting independence from the state. And they're actually, like... So, for example, the Cape Independence Party will never be able to win an election, but they don't have to win an election, right? Because in Cape Town itself, you have the Cape Independence Party, you have the Coloured Congress, and you have, I think there's 2 other parties in Cape Town itself, all wanting Cape independence. And they're growing. Their movement is growing leaps and bounds. So all they really need to do is become kingmakers. So if the DA loses the Western Cape, say, by 45%, and these other parties can get the DA over 50%, they can make demands. So they can literally tell the DA, we're willing to make you the kings of the province if you allow for a referendum on Cape independence. And should the referendum succeed, you vote to leave South Africa. And according to our constitution, as well as the constitution of the UN and one other body, NATO, I believe, the right to self-determination is an absolute right of human beings. So should the people of the Western Cape vote to leave South Africa, in other words, they no longer want to be part of the Union, then they have the right to self-determination, which means that they have the right to leave the Union and the government can't really stop it. Our own constitution gives people the right to self-determination. There's a small community in South Africa that I absolutely do not agree with, which is why I've never gone to live there. Even though if you want to talk about the safest place in South Africa to live, it would probably be this community. Their crime rate is something like 0.0001%. In the last 10 years, they've had one instance of crime, which was a bike that was stolen, like a normal bike was stolen from a child. And turns out someone just moved the bike because the bike was in their driveway. So they moved the bike and everyone thought that the bike was stolen. But the place is called Orania, right? They're extremely racist. They allow no one but white people to live in their communities. Even white people have to apply. And you have to go through a whole test to show that you are compatible with their views. I can't live in a place like that. It's 2021. Anyone who thinks that humanity should be somehow sequestered from everyone else and we should somehow live in a world where races don't mix. No, what the fuck are you talking about? I want culture, right? So I want people that has my culture and believe the same things I do to live with me. I couldn't care less about their fucking skin color. Like, that doesn't bother me. So I couldn't live there. But if Cape Town wanted to secede, that wouldn't be it, right? They wouldn't care about race because no one in Cape Town really gives a fuck about that shit. So I would be happy to live in a place like that. But, okay, the Orania exists, and the reason the government can't take them down is because our constitution says that people have the right to self-determination. So if Orania doesn't want to mix with the rest of South Africa, then the government can't really force them to do so. Like, the government could, but then the government would basically... they'd risk quite a scene, right? Sonny Metal, how you doing, bro? Thank you for the first time chat, and also, by the way, thank you for the follow earlier. Good afternoon, Aqua. I made a comment on your YouTube video. You summed up about Void Souls and what's and what. What stood out for me is that all those things almost summed up all the abilities of Warlocks. They have abilities like Void Walkers, Falhounds, Chaos Bolts, and so on. Why are they the only ones that can wield that type of anima, like you described in your vid? Maybe interesting to look into. So, the reason Warlocks can wield it is because it comes from the Fel, right? Now, just to be clear, Warlocks are not the same as Void, right? The reason so many things look as if it could be part of the Void is only because, remember how Fel was born. Fel was born from light and void basically clashing into one another, right? That is how Fel was born. So Fel would have characteristics of the light, but also characteristics of the void. So the Fel is extremely unstable anima, is what it is. It's unstable anima. It's anima that have lost its stability for whatever reason, and to wield it is very dangerous, but Warlocks learn how to wield it. So that's why it looks the way that it looks. That's why it sort of mimics a lot of the Void stuff. I'm coming to the Greater Kruger National Park for a safari next summer. The nature is amazing. It's just the politics. The Kruger National Park is, for some people, very beautiful. I absolutely fucking hate that place. Shay CD, how you doing? I absolutely despise the Kruger National Park. Look, if you're a mage, your ability to wield the Fel isn't that hard, right? You'll have some proficiency in wielding the Fel, because the Fel is just an extremely unstable version of anima. Multi-mage, basically, is more a moral avoidance. Mages don't dive into it because it's too dangerous. pound for pound, Foul is one of the most powerful magic sources on the planet, like in the cosmos. Foul is more powerful, and you could effectively look at warlocks as mages who wanted more power and therefore dove into the Foul, right? But most mages don't do that because Foul has corrupting agencies. So if you do use the Foul and you make a mistake, you get fucked. Like, instantly. Demons will just flood into your body and you'll become demonic. So you have to be very careful when it comes to that shit. Well, it's close to Kruger, not actual Kruger. What's the issue with it? Cane Death, it's something that I have an issue with. I'm not a big nature person. I'm not huge on nature. Like, I remember as a child, we would go to the Kruger National Park because my dad and my brothers absolutely love it. And then we'd spend hours driving around and they would get really excited about seeing the elephants, seeing the lions, seeing all the deer and shit. And I would be bored out of my fucking brain. I would just sit there and go, oh, this is fucking boring. So I don't really care for nature at all. Like, it's nice to look at, but from afar. I prefer city life, right? My brother and I was actually having this conversation just yesterday because he wants to move to a farm. He wants to basically leave society. He doesn't feel welcome or comfortable in society. Whereas I love cities. I love I love the busyness of it. I love the convenience of it. I'm not big on nature. Nature really doesn't do much for me. I don't think I would be able to live on a farm. And if I did live on a farm, it would have to be close enough to the city that I could just pop into the city whenever the fuck I want. Prince, how you doing, brother? Who's chasing me with a stick? Nature should only be viewed on TV while I'm indoors sipping on a beer. Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of things happening in South Africa that my brother isn't happy with. So I think it just for him, it makes sense that he wants to fucking leave. My steak and seagulls, no? Join the farm. I would not live on a farm, Germanio. I wouldn't be able to. Farms are boring as shit. No. Give me the city. I love city life. I find cities very beautiful. So whenever we're driving in Pretoria, for example, especially at night, seeing the rows of cars driving in the streets, especially because Pretoria has a lot of mountains. So there's a lot of times where you're driving and you can sort of look down on certain areas and you see all the cars driving and you see the street lights and the individual lights from the different homes. I find that shit beautiful. To me, that is very beautiful. It gives me nostalgia to look at those things. So I prefer city life to rural living. Desynced from a blip. Oh shit! Did you guys watch that video? Vatassium had a video about how the universe hates PCs. Did you watch that? That was so fucking cool. That was such a cool video. So basically, the premise of the video is there's these nuclear particles that is everywhere, right? These are just charged particles. They're everywhere in our universe. They flow everywhere. They come onto Earth all the time. They're so small and so insignificant that they don't do anything to us. However, they've been responsible for almost bringing down planes, crashing computers, even things like there was this game, Mario. The guy was speedrunning Mario, and somehow he jumped and suddenly jumped to a brand new level, or like literally just jumped to a whole new level, and they couldn't figure out what happened there. Like they could not figure out how he did it. And then someone wrote a code that mimicked what had happened. Like they changed the code of the game so that could happen. And they found that the specific portion of the code, if you changed just one of the ones to a 0 in that code, it would jump you exactly in that place to the next level. And that's how they figured out it's one of these particles that went through his PC. At the moment that he was jumping, it changed the 0 to a 1, and he jumped to another level. They had the same thing with a plane that almost fell. Like, the plane was flying, and then suddenly the plane just completely dropped. Just immediately nosedived, like, instantly. And people got shot up into the fucking roof of the plane. And then it stabilized again, and then it just fucking dropped again. So they had to make an emergency landing, and after a ton of sort of investigation, they found, wait, there's actually nothing wrong with the plane. So it seems like there's these particles. I think Digit actually linked it. No, whatever this is, I can't watch this. The Matrix Resurrections, official trailer 1. Yeah, I'm not allowed to watch this. I'll quickly look for the video. Hold up. For fuck's sake. Here we go. Veritasium. No computer is safe. Here you go. We won't watch it, but I'll link it to the rest of you so you guys can see it. There you go. You can watch it at your own leisure, but it's pretty fucking good. It's such a good video, dude. They actually first found this with, I think, Intel. This was in the 80s. Intel had a RAM module or something, and it was just completely fucking wrecking. Like, the RAM wouldn't work. It kept crashing, kept causing shit, kept breaking. They couldn't understand why this was happening because everything was fine. And as it turns out, these chips used a type of metal as a protector, and the metal was mined near a former nuclear mine, like a former uranium mine. And so this metal was charged with slight radiation, but enough radiation that it would continuously change the ones and the zeros. And that's what made everything crash the whole time. So they had to basically recall the whole batch and start from scratch. But this is the first time they realized that nuclear particles can actually do this. Just fuck up our PCs. Eleanor, good morning. How are you? Quantum chips use light. If you seal them, they'd be basically error-free. Yeah, but getting to quantum is harder than we would be able to do. At least for a while. Mepster, how you doing? But I'm looking forward to nuclear or to quantum PCs. Because if we ever get to a point where we can actually play quantum, like on quantum PCs, can you fucking imagine? Zerotech, how you doing? Thank you for the first time chat. Did really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So the high mountain clusters have been data mined. Is it not weird how they can suddenly produce all this so fast in a 0.5 patch? Do you think they've camped the next expansion because we would have hated it, so now they have time while they figure out what to do instead? Canning? No, I don't think so. Would Activision allow them to can the next expansion? No. But what makes you think that it was canned, Shay? Well, let me go to Wowhead so that I know what we're talking about here. I mean, I would not mind if they actually pushed back the next expansion. you're not really that late. We've only been going for 45 minutes, so we still have a few hours in us. Imagine WoW Classic on a Quantum PC. Imagine just straight up Quantum Internet. I don't even give a fuck about Quantum PCs, but Quantum Internet. Now, to be real, we're already using Quantum Internet, right? We're already doing it. Fiber is nothing if not Quantum Internet. But when I say Quantum Internet, I'm talking Quantum Entanglement. Imagine if we could get to a place where we have Quantum Entanglement Internet, which basically means that everything is instant. There's no such thing as latency anymore. Like, you do something and it immediately registers on the network and it immediately registers on your end. Because that's how quantum entanglement works, right? It doesn't matter how far apart those particles are. If you change the spin of the one, it automatically changes the spin of the other instantly, like immediately. Just changes. So can you imagine if we had that? You would be able to play anywhere in the world with no latency. Born at quantum speed, 16K exposed now. You think you think you're ad now? You zoom that speed up and people be zombies. Why? What's McCree's new name? Big Traveling, how you doing? I need some new quantum lore from Blizzard. I'm waiting for new lore from Blizzard too. Don't worry. You're not alone. Aldorath. Or Eridath. I would have just called him Marshall. Why not just call him Marshall? I would have been okay with that. Eridath is a stupid name for him. I'm not going to be like... I'm like, sorry. I'm not even going to beat around the bush. That's a stupid name. The dude's a fucking cowboy. Eridath is not a cowboy name. No TVs in Afghanistan because of the Taliban? Really? There's no TVs in Afghanistan? Warcraft McCree. Oh. Okay. That makes far more sense. For a second there, I thought you guys were talking about the cowboy. And I was like, Eridath is a stupid name for a cowboy. I think if you were called Eridath in the cowboy days, you'd be shot at birth. Things would not go well for you. Eridath is not the kind of cowboy name that you give your fucking son. Eridath is probably a fine name. To be fair, Macquarie, I remember when it was announced that it was going to be called Macquarie, I didn't know about the developer, and I genuinely thought this is a stupid name. Wait, the name doesn't seem to mean anything. Like, I didn't understand the name, which is, by the way, why I'm one of those people that say that developers should never have names in their games. Like, why are you calling things after developers? Why are you naming things after developers? That's just fucking lazy. Think of a nice fantasy name. Eridath is actually a cool fantasy name. Now, could we go back there and maybe learn a little bit more about it? Probably not. To be fair, Blizzard may have, well, they could have spared themselves some time and just, I don't know, remove the fucking area. Humanito? Well, why not? To immortalize them, they made the game, you know? Levat, but I don't care. You are making a fantasy game. So I put this sort of in... I put this in the same sort of vein when we're talking about naming, right? And as many of you have now pointed out, Macquarie have changed name. I put this in the same vein as... bringing out cosmetics that don't fit into the game, right? So if World of Warcraft decided tomorrow to bring out a modern car as a mount, right? Like a proper BMW mount. yeah, it might be cool for some people, but it would completely destroy the fantasy of the game for literally everyone else that doesn't have that mount. Because World of Warcraft is a high fantasy MMO. And yet you have BMWs driving around. Or imagine if they brought out a specific piece of cosmetic armor that you can buy from the shop, but it fits into the game in no way, shape, or form. Like, it's not thematically part of the game. A lot of free-to-play, especially Asian MMOs, do this consistently, right? And to my mind, it destroys the fantasy of the game. And it's similar to me whenever developers put their own names into games like World of Warcraft. Like I already explained, Macquarie. When we first went to that world, I remember thinking to myself, Macquarie is not a cool name for this place. It doesn't seem to fit. Macquarie. Why is it called Macquarie? What's the fucking point of this name? It doesn't fit. That's not... It doesn't sound Draenei, right? It doesn't sound Draenei. It doesn't sound like they would have come up with that fucking name. And yet, the name existed because this developer was too fucking lazy to just think of a fantasy name. So I find if developers want to immortalize themselves, so to speak, then go fucking write your name very small on a piece of grass in the game, right? Doesn't fucking confuse anyone. No one cares. You know that your name is always gonna be there, right? Doesn't matter. But just as a general rule, I prefer if we have names that stick with the fantasy and names that sound good. It does sound Draenish, but still, I somehow agree with your point. I think most people agree with the point, mainly because to me, it shows a bit of narcissism. Why would you want your name to be in the game? You are not what's important here, right? You are making a world for players to play in. No one gives a shit about you. And I'm sorry to say this, but no one cares. Truthfully, no one gives a fuck, right? You are just the person making the game that we play. The vast majority of players don't even know what your fucking name is. They don't care, right? So I find it extremely lazy and just boring. They shouldn't do that. Go with proper fantasy names that actually allow us to dream a little bit more. Because Eridath is actually a pretty cool name for that place. I find Eridath to be a fucking awesome name for that place. Mickey Moto, thank you so much for the 2 months update. Really appreciate that. 4 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The Rockstar approach is absolutely unreal. And I'm glad that Blizzard is finally learning that they are... Return of the Mage Tower hinted in patch 9.15. Whew. Now, I would not mind if Blizzard brings back the Mage Tower. Just gonna be honest. I think the Mage Tower, if they did bring the Mage Tower back, but this would showcase, just by the way, this would this would showcase this is desperation, right? This is Blizzard going next level desperate, which is great. That's exactly what we wanted to see. But Blizzard basically said, remember they were asked this, would you ever think about bringing back the Mage Tower? And Ian literally said, no, we don't really have rewards that we could put in there. So if we could ever think of good rewards to put in there, we'd be happy to put those rewards in there. And they found some rewards. It's people, please pay us and play our game. So basically, Blizzard is finally learning how game rewards is supposed to happen. You give players things that is fun, and they reward you with their money. That's the way that rewards are supposed to happen. You shouldn't just have cool features in your game when you can think of ways to reward the player, right? The game should be reward enough for the players. So if this is true, if Blizzard is bringing back the Mage Tower, they should bring it back in Torghast, right? So it should be part of the Torghast experience. One of those entrances should take you to the Mage Tower in Torghast. Or perhaps even better, I would like to see it be part of the Caverns of Time, because I think the Caverns of Time is so underutilized and it needs more love. They need to put more stuff into the Caverns of Time that actually is fun, right? You could do Karazhan as well, but even then, I still like the Caverns of Time as just... I feel like there should be so much more to the Caverns of Time than what we have received. Because that's one of the coolest places in WoW. No one can fucking disagree with that. One of the coolest places in the whole of the World of Warcraft universe is the Caverns of Time. So I would love to have the Caverns of Time get a little bit more love, even if it isn't for the Mage Tower. Something, right? To be fair, I would love to see the whole of Torghast move to Karazhan, because I think Karazhan would be far cooler, especially as an evergreen feature. So if this feature is going to go forward and it's going to continue to go forward, moving it into Karazhan means that you can basically do whatever, right? Because Karazhan exists almost throughout all realities. And so you could have any bosses, any ads, anything in there. So I think that'd be really, really fucking cool. But this just shows the desperation that Blizzard is going through, right? Essentially, I agree with you. Blizzard is finally learning. This is how you get players excited for your game. By giving them things that they actually fucking care about. Wait a second. There's a couple of other things that I want to see here. Warlock! Mythic tier 20! Ooh. Let's see this. It's old school. I like it. I fucking like it. You see, I've always been a big fan of the wings. The winged Warlock. Jesus, I might have to raid just so I can get my hands on this armor. Although, is it going to be from raid? No, it's Mythic Elite PvP versions, which come with additional details. Use the enhanced Mythic Elite PvP versions. These wings are definitely bigger. I love the colors of this. I don't know where we're going to get it, though. Like, I don't know where this is going to drop from. But I'm definitely a huge fan of this. Oh, isn't that just gorgeous? Isn't that just gorgeous? And what I would prefer is if it doesn't just come out when you jump. I would prefer if it doesn't just come out when you jump, but that it's always there. You're sort of running around and the wings just sort of fucking spread and go back in. Oh, I love this. I'm not even big on transmog. I don't even give a fuck about gear. But whenever it comes to this type of gear for Warlocks, I'm all in. I am all fucking in. We have Warrior tier set here as well for tier 20. Let's quickly check this out. Just looks like they're wearing 10. I would change the way tiers work. This is just, I mean, fuck me. It's cool. Any Warrior players in chat? Like, is there any Warriors in chat? How are you guys feeling about this? It's not ugly, but compared to the Warlock set, you can't tell me that it isn't a little underwhelming. If you look at the Warlock set and you look at the wings that Warlocks are getting, and then you go to the Warrior set, it's like, all right, I guess I'll cosplay as Tin Food, because that's what this looks like. Priest. Shadow Priest always looks the best. I fucking love the shoulders. Look at the shoulders screaming. This is really cool for the Priest. I love the shoulders. Holy and Disc just, yeah. Can't make it bigger, sadly. I do like this, though. the Shadow Priest looks cool as shit. We'll keep going, see if there's anything else. I don't know if there's wait, the math behind AoE soft caps and square root scaling. Are they still keeping a soft cap? Why? Blizzard, just remove. Why are we going through this again? Okay, hold up. It's the hard target caps that were added in Shadowlands for AoE abilities are being changed to soft caps in 9.15. Under the new rules, most abilities will now hit all targets using square root scaling to deal reduced damage to extra targets hit beyond the soft cap. In this post, we'll be breaking down the math of the new AoE caps and how much damage you'll deal with the new changes. Alright, I'm not going to go through the fucking math because, well, I'm not a math guy, so it's not my thing. I will say this, though. Why? Why not just fucking remove it, Blizzard? I mean... the whole point of AoE is people want to see large numbers. It's so much fun when your tank pulls 15 mobs and you just see this explosion of fucking damage going out, right? It's just so much fun to see. So for me, this is... It doesn't make sense. Why are you putting soft caps? Just remove the caps. Just remove the caps. If you're not capped somehow, you'll just go brrr and not need anyone else. No one gives a fuck. Let us go brrr. Like, I just want to go brrr. When I hit my AoE button, I want to go brrr and just fucking beat everything down. I don't... like, this is fun. It's supposed to be fun. Why is Blizzard so anti-fun? Why is Blizzard always anti-fun? It's like, bro, it's... look, people are not going to be angry when they're doing more damage in AoE. Because one of the fun things of pulling a shit ton of things is to see that massive numbers going out on a million different things. Now, I'm not saying this is still better than what it was. Don't get me wrong. I'm not for a second saying this isn't at least something, right? It's better than what it was. But it's still not good. It's still not fucking good. Because they could just remove it and it'd be fine. No one would give a shit. And that's usually, to my mind, the only question that matters. The question that you should ask yourself. Would players be angry if we removed the cap in AoE? Answer, no. Players wouldn't care at all. Right. Then let's remove it. That's it. If the players will not be angry with you removing it, then remove it. So, yeah, I don't know. I find this just to be another sort of weird thing where Blizzard... the reason I guess I'm getting a little annoyed at this is another instance of Blizzard being wrong when the expansion went live, and then Blizzard going, well, we hear you. That being said, we were right. And we will prove to you how right we were by, you know, sort of changing it, but still not fucking changing it. It's like, Blizzard, you were wrong to begin with. You were wrong when you added the caps in Shadowlands. You are still wrong. The only difference is you're now less wrong than what you were at the start of Shadowlands, but you're still fucking wrong. You're still wrong. You're just now less wrong than what you were. So at what patch will you be not wrong? So how long is this going to take? Are we going to have to wait for 9.2? Are we going to have to wait for 9.25? Or are we going to wait for 9.3? Or maybe 9.35? At which point are you going to realize we're still wrong, less wrong than what we were at the launch, but still fucking wrong. Let's be not wrong. That's my problem with this. It's consistently, we are wrong, but we just want to be less wrong than what we were at the start. So we'll just change it. Look, people were so happy when you announced that you're going to remove the hard cap for AoE. People were so happy because people thought we're going to go back to good DPS and good AoE, fun AoE. And now you go, oh, psych, we are removing the hard cap, but we're just adding a soft cap. Again, want to reiterate, I'm not saying this is bad. This is a massive step in the right direction. But why do you even need a soft cap? If it's really such a big problem and you really don't want people to cheese your Mythic Plus, then add other things that stop that cheesing from taking place, like giving the mobs more health or more damage, or making it so that if you do pull 2 packs together, they instantly hit harder, or whatever the case might be. But don't do this, you know? And Strum TV, I would actually agree with you. It would have been amazing if Blizzard put out a blue post with this announcement that sort of explained why they believe the soft cap is better than the hard cap and why they don't want to go away. Hold on, let me see this. The goal that I had in bringing a lot of the packaged goods folks into Activision about 10 years ago was to take all the fun out of making video games. Alright, we'll respond to that in a while. Because I've actually watched this interview and she's being very dishonest. But I don't expect anything less from Jessica Gonzalez. Because I actually watched the interview in which Bobby Kotick said that. He was making a joke. he was joking. Because they were asking about it and he was joking. But anyways. Zen Anima to your alts. Okay, there doesn't seem to be anything else that's really interesting. No more tier sets at the minute, at least not from what I can tell. So we'll end on that rant. So it's bad practice to nerf players. It feels crap. Just buff the world, buff other classes. I agree. Just if something isn't balanced and you're struggling with the balance of something, then how about you just work on that balance, right? How about you just work on that balance and try to fix the balance part of things? Dressing room, don't care. Conduit energy now refilling 10 energy per day. Full conduit energy. Why? Okay, so here's my question before I lose my fucking mind, right? If this is simply to hold people over until 915 when they can make the switch and remove conduit energy, I would say, why not just... Why? So I'm still angry, actually, even if this is just a band-aid until 915 when conduit energy will finally be removed from the game. Why does Blizzard insist on always waiting for patch cycles? Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Blizzard, not a single player is going to unsub from the goddamn game just because you go, oh, by the way, guys, next patch is going to be slightly, or next reset is going to be slightly longer offline because we're introducing a patch that removes conduit energy from the game. Just bear with us for the hour that it takes us to do that. Oh, no problem. You're making the game better. We'll wait. It's not a problem. What is there to test? Like, what is Blizzard hoping to test in the PTR with the removal of conduit energy? Are they hoping that people in the PTR complain so much about the removal that they don't have to remove it? I don't understand. I don't understand. It's people want conduit energy gone. You yourself have agreed that conduit energy didn't work the way that it should. Just remove it already. Now, it could be that there's a massive amount of work that actually goes into it, and that the system was so baked into the fucking system that if you remove the system, you break the system. Would that be the worst thing in the world? Probably not. If Covenants broke completely, I don't think the game would lose anything. The game would probably just gain a lot, because the Covenant system is a complete and utter fucking joke. To my mind, I just feel like people wouldn't mind if you removed it in the middle of a week. You don't have to always wait. Wisp, how you doing, brother? You don't have to always fucking wait for a patch. Like, oh, you know, we're only removing it at patch 9.15, so sadly you're gonna have to wait until 9.15 before we can remove it. I like the fact that they're doing the band-aid. That's nice. The fact that it's at least refilling to 10 every single day makes it a hell of a lot better, right? So I do like that. Let me just be clear. I'm not losing my mind here because Blizzard is doing this. I think that's a good change. What I don't understand is why not just remove it? I hate this fucking... So, personally, I think 0.5 patches are a complete and utter waste of time. Apart from this one. I think everyone can agree this 0.5 patch is bigger than any 0.5 patch Blizzard have ever made, right? So we can all agree on that. But for the most part, I genuinely think that the 0.5 patches are a complete and utter waste of time. Because the vast majority of things that 0.5 patches usually do, they balance the game. It's usually Blizzard fixing all of their fuck-ups in the 0.1 patches or in the 0.4 patches that then gets fixed in the 0.5 patches. Why not just fix those things as and when you can? So when you have the remove conduit energy ready, remove conduit energy from the game. Don't make us wait. Don't make us fucking wait 3 months to get the shit that needs to be fixed now. Just fix it. No one would care. Believe me, not a single person would bat a fucking eyelid if there were no more 0.5 patches. No one gives a shit about those because they tend to not really bring anything. Apart from this one. This one, of course, may as well be a 0.4 patch because, yeah, there's a lot of things in it. But yeah, I personally just think this is... Just remove it. Just remove it already. It's a nice hotfix, but the removal thereof would have been far better. In my opinion, people wouldn't care. No, I don't have an OnlyFans, so I can't stretch my legs. I think having more patches more frequently is almost always a good thing, especially when you're looking at MMOs, right? So my problem with Blizzard's philosophy around patches is it doesn't necessarily immediately spring out as sustainable with an MMO. And I guess I should explain what I mean by that. I think everyone can agree that gaming, be it single player games, multiplayer games, or MMOs, gaming very much is a collaborative effort, right? Especially these days. Think about every single game that you've ever played. The game launches, and for the first 6 months, there's a lot of feedback from players, right? Players unhappy. Let's take a game like Cyberpunk as an example, right? The game launched in a pretty abysmal state. Over the course of the last 6 months, CD Projekt Red have spent countless hours balancing, rebalancing, fixing, adding, basically responding to the criticism of players and trying to fix the game, right? Trying to get the game to the place where players want the game to be. You can look at games that's less broken than CD Projekt or than Cyberpunk, and you'll see the exact same thing. A new game launches and people are complaining, people are angry, and for the first 6 months to a year, the developers are working overtime to get the game into a spot where it actually needs to be. Games is very much a give and take, because almost never will you release a game where it hits perfectly with the audience that the game was designed for. So there's always going to be stuff that you have to balance. MMOs take that to a next level, right? Because in MMOs, it's almost a consistent... The problem with MMOs is they're persistent worlds, right? That's why we love MMOs, because they're always on, always in persistent worlds, which means that it's persistent development. You are always developing your game. Your game is in consistent cycles of development, which means that there is consistent cycles of feedback that players will be giving you. The way you want to do that, in my mind, is with constant patches. So almost every 2 weeks, you want to fix and patch things in the game that maybe isn't working the way that you wanted it to work and maybe isn't doing exactly what you wanted it to do. But you want to do it consistently. You want to do it all the time so that you can give players the best possible experience. The problem with Blizzard is they seem to be in the cycle of we can only patch things once every 3 months. So everything else, unless it's something that completely breaks the game, we will not patch it until 3 months is over. But that still means that for 3 months, players are paying for stuff that isn't working optimally, right? Ben Raging, thank you so much for the Prime sub, dude. Really fucking appreciate that, especially during September. So I really appreciate that, Prime. September is apparently the time where all streamers should be begging for subscriptions. So please, I finally remembered to set up my Prime on PC this morning before leaving home. 5 months. Thanks for the great content, buddy. Ben Raging, it is my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for that, dude. Voromar, thank you for the Prime sub, dude. Really appreciate that. 3 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. No, missed the beginning of the stream, but good to be here. Morning, Akko, sub fucker. Voromar, happy to have you here, bro. It just feels like Blizzard is stuck in this 3-month cycle, right? Where for 3 months, we waste our money because the game is in many ways unplayable because of things that Blizzard adds, and Blizzard will not fix things if it does not fall within that 3-month cycle. It doesn't seem like that makes sense to me. Rather make smaller patches every week or 2 weeks, even once a month, where you try to fix as many things as humanly possible consistently, right? That would be my approach to making an MMO, because you are looking at a constant collaborative effort between you and the player. It's guaranteed that you're going to make mistakes, and I want to be clear on this. I am not one of those people that will fault Blizzard for their mistakes, right? I don't think it's wrong that Blizzard will make mistakes. I don't think we should ever expect Blizzard to not make mistakes. But when you have things that's just clearly not working the way that it should, when you have things that's just clearly a fuck up, like Conduit Energy, for example, remove that. Remove that as soon as you fucking can. Don't wait for the 3-month cycle. Do it now. Do it now because players aren't happy now with how that is working. Get changes out as quickly as humanly possible. And I know that Blizzard does a lot of hot fixing. Don't get me wrong, Aureus, I agree with you there. Blizzard do a lot of hot fixing, but then also they don't. If you go back to Legion, there were bugs. What was that raid in no, BFA, sorry, not Legion. In BFA, there was the raid in the Manor. Can't remember what the raid is called now. But the raid in the Manor. That raid, or the dungeon. That dungeon was bugged pretty much for the whole of BFA. It was just a buggy mess. I remember doing it right at the end of BFA, and still, I'd sometimes pull mobs from the bottom. Like, I would use an AoE, and it would just pull mobs from other fucking areas of the dungeon. And be like, oh, I guess we're making this a lot harder for ourselves now, because these mobs are also bringing all of their friends. This is going to be fucking cool. Let's see how this goes, right? That shit existed for the whole of the expansion. Blizzard just never fixed it. Tol Dagor had a bunch of bugs as well. So it seems like Blizzard sometimes they just give up. Sometimes they just say, fuck it, we're not going to fix the bugs. Screw it. Through Starfall, that aggro every mob. That was not a dungeon problem. It happened in Taldagor too. Well, it is a dungeon problem then. Because it shouldn't happen, right? You should be able to patch that. It's not supposed to happen. If you have a wall, things shouldn't be able to go through the wall. So if it's going through the wall, it means your walls are badly coded. Or something is badly coded. Pull the pig boss from the hallway. I think everyone have like these weird stories about stuff that happened in Waycrest Manor. Everyone has these weird stories. Just like you don't know what's going on. It's just like, fuck me. I just pulled everything. So, you know, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like Blizzard themselves, they expect the community to cut them more slack than what the community should cut them slack for. Giuliano, when it comes to the AoE cap, I don't even think it should exist for Mythic Plus. If you need to build restrictions in order to fix how do I phrase this correctly? If you want to force players to play a specific way, and in order to do that, you have to build restrictions that limits what players can do, then perhaps the way that you think players should play the game is wrong. Right? What you should do is risk versus reward. So, let's imagine that you do Mythic Plus. You don't want people to pull the whole dungeon and just AoE things down, right? Because that would be a viable approach for a lot of players. Well, to make it easy for yourself, you could just say, I don't know, make it so that whenever you pull two groups of mobs together, they hit a fuck ton harder, right? So it's risk versus reward. The players can pull the whole dungeon, but then that tank is going to have to use every single cooldown that they have. The healer will have to use every single cooldown that they have. And that's how you do it. Risk versus reward. In other words, it's possible, but it might fuck you up. Right? It's possible, but there's a risk involved to it. Whereas what Blizzard does with their soft caps and their hard caps to AoE is they technically make it impossible. So even if you did do it, you'd probably not be able to put out the damage. So you may as well just not do it because it's technically not really viable. I'm a huge fan of risk versus reward gameplay design. Never limit the player, but if the player is going to do something that you see as degenerate gameplay, then add a risk to it. Don't limit the player. Let the player do the thing that is degenerate, but then add some risk to that degenerate thing. That to me makes far more sense than a hard cap, if you will, on AoE, or even a soft cap on AoE. So every class can go equally. But Julian, it shouldn't be there, because having certain classes be very good at AoE is why those classes would be invited to the dungeon. Right? You'd want those classes in the dungeon because they're very good at AoE. I still think if it's a problem of some classes are going to be taken more than others, there are fixes to that too, right? There are ways to fix that too by basically building things into the dungeon where, sure, you could take a bunch of warlocks into the dungeon, pull everything and let the warlocks just AoE them down the Seat of Corruption, but there's going to be mechanics that you're probably not going to be able to deal with, or get a bunch of warriors to just blade storm them down. There's going to be problems that you're not going to be able to deal with because you just took warriors to the dungeon. So, again, don't limit the players. Just add risk versus reward to how the players want to play. Julian, that could actually be a perfect thing, right? You could actually make it so that AoE, if you do AoE in Mythic Plus, your aggro is 3x. So basically, if you just fucking go ape shit on AoE, if you're a warlock and you're just pumping as many Seed of Corruptions into the ads as possible, you'll draw all of the AoE, like you'll draw all of the aggro, and all of those mobs will come beat the living shit out of you. So there's a risk versus reward there, right? Your tank will have to spec fully into AoE so that they can match the amount of aggro that you're going to be building, and you're still going to have to be kind of careful with how much you do it. That could be a fun interaction for players because it would give you something that you actually have to care about and something that you would actually have to pay attention to. And there are ways around it. So if you had a warrior, for example, no, threat's not really a thing anymore these days, but it could be a thing again. But if you had a warrior, for example, with their banner, I don't know if that's still a thing for warriors, but they used to have this banner that would taunt everything around. That would be a thing, right? Because if you did want to do massive AoE pulls, you'd probably get your warrior in, because the warrior can, if the warrior starts losing aggro, they could throw down the banner and boom, right? They'll just get a shit ton of fucking aggro again, and they'll be able to push it a little bit further. Aggro management would be so cool if it came back into the game. It was actually like one of those mini games within the game for tanks where you had to be very cool at aggro. But it was also Captain Swanky. How you doing, brother? It was also something that was really cool for DPS, because as a DPS you had to be careful, right? If you were a mage that just got a bunch of Pyroblast procs, you probably wouldn't want to use those at the start of the fight because you're almost guaranteed to get smacked down by the boss, right? So just sort of figuring out that, okay, I can't use these things just yet because I am going to take aggro from the tank, versus, you know, what we have nowadays where taking aggro from the tank is nearly impossible. Broad moment for tanks, in my opinion. Like, oh man, you can never pull aggro off. Which made them legends in the guild. Yep. Like, a tank that knew what they were doing was, like, just next level, right? Everyone wanted to play with that tank because they knew how to keep threat. I would love to get that back. I would love to get a portion of that back at least. But again, you know, you could argue that it's something that's cool in theory, but probably like adding it to the game doesn't really add as much as we think, right? Because there are things like that. There's definitely things like that where you and I think, oh, this would be the coolest thing fucking ever if they could add that. But once they add it, it's sort of cool for like a day, and then it's no longer cool. Like, then no one really gives a shit about it again. I remember back when I tanked, if you had a hunter or a rogue that could use tricks of the trade, or the hunter that could use, what was it called again? That was so fun. If you knew you were just gonna have misdirection, that's the one. Like, you knew you were gonna have all the threat, wasn't a fucking problem. You could just go through the motions because you're gonna have all the threat. And then, of course, as a rogue, trolling the off-tank. I had a friend, we were both rogues, and we would tricks of the trade the off-tank. So this guy is not ready to tank the boss at all. He's running in, he's not going to be paying attention right now at anything, and then suddenly the boss just starts fucking smacking him. And he's like, what the fuck? I didn't taunt, I swear to God I didn't taunt. And the rogues are just laughing their fucking asses off because, you know, they gave him threat. What thing of mod are you using? Looks like a nice set. What tank and mod? Oh, you're talking about this. This is old as shit. Like, you can look at it. It doesn't even close at the back anymore. Like, it's broken as shit. This is old as fuck. Smock, and I don't know, I think it's Vaporeso, the tank. I think there's a lot of things that I would want back, because I think if you look at things like, for example, the elemental resistances, those were fun gearing mechanics. At least for myself, it was fun gearing mechanics. Because on certain bosses, you'd need certain types of gear pieces, and it just made the game feel a little bit more, shall we say, choice heavy. Like there was a choice that you had to make. Like you could do the boss without those resistances, but you'd probably die, or the healers would run out of mana. So by having that resistance gear, yes, you'd sacrifice a little bit of your DPS, but you would also be able to actually survive the fight, which is stuff that I think I missed that for a while. I miss those sort of micromanaging elements of the game, which of course I don't think that would ever come back. I don't think Blizzard will ever bring those things back. Like, look, I've been saying for a long time that the inventory in World of Warcraft is a mess, and I keep maintaining that. Personally, I think, I do think Blizzard should have a sort of trade bag that is similar to ESO, where all of your reagents and herbs and meats and shit like that goes into a bottomless bag, right? It's a bag that's shared across all of your characters. It's on your account, so every character has access to the bag, and the bag can just never get full. It's just a bag that exists. It's always going to exist. Because I think currently the problem that I have with the bags is bags are supposed to be a massive part of RPG. But most people have already gotten around that by just downloading add-ons that sort of sort their bags anyways. So it no longer has that RPG feel to it. It's now just more of a nuisance. And I don't think anyone can disagree with me. Bag space is a nuisance, because most of the time our bags are absolutely filled with bullshit. Like just a bunch of crap that doesn't matter. Especially the grey items in World of Warcraft. And I get that is actually part of the story, having things like grey items, but again, it makes you feel so horrible and miserable when you have to stop picking things up because your bag is filled with a bunch of grey shit. One for currencies, one for quest items, and one for profession items. I would still go with the ESO model, Apocalypse, because in ESO, if you're paying the subscription, you get a bottomless bag, and it's account wide, so all of your characters have access to the bag, and you can have as many items in there as you want. The bag will just never fill up. That is just, oh my god. When you have to add a clean bags button, you fucked up your game's inventory system. True. So true. Should be moggable. Change my mind. No, I agree. I think everything in the game should be moggable. But I'm still holding out for Blizzard, and I'm not even a mogger, but Blizzard should add dyes to the game. Blizzard should add dyeing to the game. It should be, you should have the ability to change the color of the armor that you have, because sometimes you have a really cool armor, but it's the wrong color, right? It would work so well, say, with these boots or with these hands, but this armor is just not the right color. So why don't you give people the ability to just change the fucking armor, change the color of the armor to something that is actually manageable? You could actually add inscription. Inscription would be perfect for it, because they already make dyes, right? So inscription would be the profession that supplies people with dyes. True, Andy. We can't make it too difficult for them, right? So Blizzard have explained why they don't have dyes in World of Warcraft. So according to Blizzard's own developers, the reason they don't add dyes is twofold. Number one, the game was never built for armor colors to be changed. Like, the color of armors is hard-coded into the armor, right? So that's the first problem. But that can be fixed. Coding can be fixed. You can recode the game to add dyes, right? Or you could just add the dye on top of the armor. So you could build something that sort of just layers the new color on top of the existing armor. That could also be done. It is possible to be done. Coding can also be fixed, can always be fixed. The real problem, and this was according to the lead art developer, or the art director for World of Warcraft, the real problem is Blizzard doesn't use straight colors. They usually use tints of colors. So the color palette is sort of different colors, right? That make up. So if you have a purple armor, the purple isn't just purple. It's like a bunch of different gradients of colors that give you the purple layer that you have. And apparently that would be too difficult for them to code. The armors are specifically designed to be that color, right? And if you made a different color, it would just look stupid. And my argument is, then let players look stupid. I mean, if the players want to be stupid, let them be stupid. If I want to look like a complete dick running around in a pink armor that doesn't look nice, then so what? That's my right to look like a complete dick. To color match, to say your chess piece. That is another thing that I would actually say could work, right? At the very least, allow for people to color match. So you still have your gradient, but let's say the pants that I want to wear is gray, but the chest piece that I want to wear is green. So it's not going to go together. Well, let me just click a thing that changes my pants to the exact color gradient of my chest piece. So now I at least have matching pants and chest. And I want to be clear, this isn't even something I actually give a fuck about. This is a feature that I would never use. Like, never. Would just not get used. Anyways, I did have a request for today's stream from Germanio, who wants me to take some personality fucking test. Apparently they want to find out if I'm, I don't know, a psychopath or something. I mean, for example, with that red demonic warlock tier 20 set, I also like to have my warlock spells to be like burning blood or like red flame magic. I would actually fucking love that. Let's see. It's 16 personalities. I don't think I've ever done this. Although I've heard a lot about it. So I answer these questions and we find out whether or not I'm a psychopath, effectively. Alright, you regularly make new friends? No. No, it takes very long for me to make any sort of friends. You spend a lot of your free time exploring various random topics that pique your interest. Yes. Seeing other people cry can easily make you feel like you want to cry too. No. You often make a backup plan for a backup plan. No. Who the fuck does that? Who does that? You make a backup plan for a backup plan. Jesus, no. That's too many backup plans. Like, you need maybe a backup plan for something. Most of the time, though, I just go, right? And if it fucks up, I'll figure it out in the middle of the fuck up. Like, as it's fucking up, I'll be like, I need a plan right now. Usually stay calm, even under a lot of pressure. Yes. At social events, you rarely try to introduce yourself to new people and mostly talk to the ones you already know. Not really. I actually do like speaking to new people. I'm gonna put that as a somewhat disagree. No, actually, it is quite a disagree, because no, I like talking to new people. I find people very interesting. You prefer to completely finish one project before starting another. No. You are very sentimental. Not at all. You like to use organizing tools like schedules and lists. Oh. Even a small mistake can cause you to doubt your overall abilities and knowledge. No. You feel comfortable just walking up to someone you find interesting and striking up a conversation. To some extent, yes. To some extent, yeah. I don't mind talking to people. People don't scare me. You are not too interested in discussing various interpretations and analysis of creative works. No, I fucking love doing that. So that's a strong disagree. I love discussing things like that. Everyone knows he's INXX, probably T over F, but probably J over P. I do think INFJ, but INTJ could be a 2. What about Lady in the Gym? Did you take your shot? That's a whole different story, bro. That's not a random person. That's a girl with a fine fucking ass that you're asking me to go and strike up a conversation with. At the gym, by the way. That's a whole different fucking story. You are more inclined to follow your head than your heart. To some extent, yes. But also, I not always. So maybe like a slight agree. I don't like making emotional decisions. I try to not make emotional decisions when and if I can sort of steer clear of it. Usually prefer just doing what you feel like at any given moment instead of planning a particular daily routine. Yes. Very, very much so. I am a big fan of doing whatever the fuck I feel like. You rarely worry about whether you make a good impression on people you meet. Yes. I genuinely couldn't give 2 fucks about what people think about me. You enjoy participating in group activities. Actually, not much. I'm not a big fan of group activities. You like books and movies that make you come up with your own interpretation of the ending. Yeah. I'm quite a big fan of speculation. I'm obviously running a fucking speculation channel. So, yeah, being able to interpret my own story, definitely worth my fucking time. Solid ISTJ here. I don't even know what those things mean, by the way. You guys are just making up letters now, aren't you? You're just writing a bunch of letters and going, yeah, that's what I am. I'm an ISTJ. It means I am the king of the world. Your happiness comes more from helping others accomplish things than your own accomplishments. No. I find very little happiness in others. There are times where helping other people is actually a good feeling, but most of my happiness comes from myself. I don't need to help other people. What does that mean? What do I answer then? Because I am very happy even when I'm not helping other people. Like, I find I feel very happy when I help other people, but this says my happiness comes from helping other people. And that's not fucking true. I'm getting Alex a new PC, but it's also very selfish. I want Alex to be able to edit faster. So that's why I want Alex to get a new PC. Sure, it's also helping Alex getting a new PC, but it's also very selfish. You are interested in so many things that you find it difficult to choose what to try next. Yeah, sometimes. You are prone to worrying that things will take a turn for the worse. Not often, no. Like, there are days. Like, there's days where you sort of wake up and you go, oh, shit. Well, this is going to be this is going to be a fucking nightmare. Oh, shit. You just get these days. I don't know if most of you have probably felt this before. And I'm assuming that's what they call anxiety. But there are these days, some days, where I'll wake up and it just feels like something's chasing me. It just feels like I'm missing something. I'm forgetting something big. Something big is going to go wrong. But this happens like less than I have more days where that doesn't happen, where I have days where that does happen. So I'll say that's a disagree on that one. You avoid leadership roles in group. No, I want to be the leader. I don't follow. You are definitely not an autistic type of person. I don't think I am. Like on this one, the avoid leadership, I will leave the group if I'm not the leader. Like if I were to join a group where I'm not in control, I would leave the group. I would rather do it myself than follow anyone. I refuse to follow. It's one of the reasons I've spent 13 of my 16 years of World of Warcraft running my own fucking guild. I was the guild master of my own guild. I refuse to join other guilds because I will not follow another cunt. Just will not. I make the decisions because that way I know that they're not stupid decisions. If someone else is the leader, they're going to make stupid decisions and I'm going to have to fucking follow it. I would say I am autistic. The reason I'm going to go with full-blown autistic is if it's a choice between scientific and artistic, I am almost definitely more artistic than what I am scientific. Even though I care very much about science and I really like science, I'm definitely more artistic. You think the world would be a better place if people relied more on rationality and less on their feelings? Yes. Fucking yes. I hate people that only think with their feelings. You prefer to do your chores before allowing yourself to relax. Oh. I prefer to relax and then not do the chores whatsoever. So I'm just no. I am very good at procrastinating and just going, nah, I'll do it tomorrow. It's not a problem. So yeah, actually, we're gonna change that to strongly disagree. You enjoy watching people argue? Yes. I'm a massive fan of watching people argue. You tend to avoid drawing attention to yourself? No. Your mood can change very quickly? No, not at all. Usually I'm so it depends. If I'm in a good mood, I'm always in a good mood. Like I'm in a good mood for the whole day. If I'm in a bad mood, I'll be maybe in a bad mood for like an hour, and then I'll be back in like I'm actually, let me put it this way. I'm rarely in a good mood. I'm usually in a neutral mood. Like, I'm neither happy nor sad. I'm just sort of like, yeah, all right, this is life. So what do I answer? It takes a lot for me to change my mood, I think. You have to really try to be... you have to really be on my nerves to piss me off and actually change my mood. So I'm going to go disagree. You lose patience with people who are not as efficient as you. Yes. You often end up doing things at the last possible moment. Yes. I used to do this in college all the time, by the way. I had my final exams in college, and I started studying for my finals exam the day before the finals exam. And I pulled an all-nighter. So I literally started studying the day before, and I pulled an all-nighter till the next day, till I literally studied till the moment I sat down to take the finals exam. That's who I am. I thrive under that level of pressure. When I know now or never, that's when I can just full-blown go. You've always been fascinated by the question of what, if anything, happens after death. Yes. Yes. I am very interested to know that. Usually prefer to be around others rather than on your own. No, not really. I'm very happy on my own. You become bored or lose interest when the discussion gets highly theoretical. No. You find it easy to empathize with a person whose experiences are very different from yours. I'm not a huge empathetic person. Like, I find empathy quite hard. I have a lot of sympathy, But I'm also not a fan of empathy because I think empathy is extremely selfish. Because empathy, you're actually just feeling sorry for yourself. You're not feeling sorry for the person. You're feeling sorry for yourself because you're thinking, what if this happened to me? Oh my God, my life would be over. I feel so sorry for you, but I'm actually feeling sorry for myself. So I don't actually like empathy all that much, and I don't experience it all that much. And especially if someone's experiences are very different from mine, I can understand what they're going through, but to empathize with them, I'm going to go, because I can understand what they're going through. Like, I can see when someone would be sad because something is happening to them. Do I feel that sadness when that something is happening to them? No. No, I don't experience it myself. I can understand why. That's why I said I'm more sympathetic. Like, I can see when someone is actually struggling and I can feel why they would struggle, but I'm not empathetic. I don't feel the pain, right? I don't sit there and start crying because this person is going through something horrible. Usually postpone finalizing decisions for as long as possible. No, I can decide very fucking quickly. You rarely second guess the choices that you have made. This is between these two because I second guess myself often, not too often. I don't second guess myself enough to say disagree. After a long and exhausting week, a lively social event is just what you need. No. No. Even though it is good for me, so why I'm saying no. I tend to not do a lot of, shall we say, I don't do a lot of like social events, but they are actually good for me, right? They are actually very good for me because after I've been out with friends or sort of went to a barbecue or something, I feel so much better. Even though before going, I don't like it. Literally spent 20 minutes before you made the new channel live freaking about it. Is that second guessing? Then maybe we do neither. Because there are things that I'll second guess, but a lot of the time I'll just make the decision and go. You enjoy going to art museums? No, I don't. I don't. Art's weird to me. You often have a hard time understanding. I do want to go to an art museum because I've never actually been to an art museum, but I also don't really understand art museums. So, like, I rarely understand art. So I'm going to say no. You'd have to entice me with something. So you'd have to be like, we'll have sex if you go to this art museum with me. Yay, let's go to the art museum. No problem. We'll go to the art museum. But if I'm just going to have to go to the art museum with no, like, incentive to go to the fucking art museum, yeah, I probably wouldn't go to the art museum. How's that rude, Javadio? Art's about interpretation, not understanding. I want to be able to at least understand what it is that I'm fucking looking at. You will know him in a different way than he may know himself. True. This is actually one of the problems that I know for a fact exist with tests like this. It's almost always better to take tests like this. Having someone else that knows you very well take the test on your behalf. Because very few people know themselves as well as other people would, or as objectively as other people would. Which is why, by the way, I'm second guessing myself so often, because I'm also trying to, like, not just choose the thing that immediately makes sense to me, but choose the thing that's objectively true about me. You often have a hard time understanding other people's feelings. Not really, no. I understand their feelings. I just don't feel their feelings. So I'm going to say no. You like to have a to-do list for each day. No, I don't. You rarely feel insecure. I do feel insecure. Not as insecure as most people do, but definitely. You avoid making phone calls. No, I love making phone calls. What I don't like is fucking texting. I despise texting. phone me, you fucking bastard. Say whatever the fuck you want to say. 20 seconds, done. No more problems. But a fucking text, bro. I hate a text. You often spend a lot of time trying to understand views that are very different from your own. Yes. I love views that's not the same as mine. In your social circle, you are often the one who contacts your friends and initiates activities. Does it count if I think about initiating activities, but then don't actually initiate activities? Like, does that count? Because I'm also very lazy. And I sort of think to myself, man, we should go do something. And then I just go, but that's a lot of effort. Let's not do that thing. I'm going to say probably no. I don't really. If your plans are interrupted, your top priority is to get back on track as soon as possible. What do they mean with plans, though? If your plans are interrupted, your top priority is to get back on track as soon as possible. I mean, if you interrupt my plans, my day's generally ruined. Like, I would rather than just reset today. Like, if my plans get interrupted, that's me. I'll just watch a movie for the rest of the day and wait for tomorrow to continue things. I hate my plans being interrupted. Like, don't interfere with my fucking schedules. 2 hours to get on track? True. I don't think, like, this is... my top priority is definitely not to get back on track. So we'll make a disagree there. You are still bothered by mistakes that you made a long time ago. This is a strong disagree. I can't even remember half the mistakes I made a long time ago. You rarely contemplate the reasons for human existence or the meaning of life. No, I do that quite fucking often. Your emotions control you more than you control them. No. Well, actually, to some extent. I don't want them to, but they do. So it's one of the reasons I run a lot of, like, whenever I have a specific thought about something, I'll run it past my brother. Like, I'll go to my brother and I'll have this discussion with him. Because my brother is, like, the most rational person I've ever met. I mean, he studies mathematics, so it sort of makes sense, right? He's drawn to rational, logical thinking. So I sort of need... I need to sometimes check in to make sure that what I'm thinking right now isn't just an emotional decision, but it is actually a logical decision. So I'll say disagree to some extent. You take great care not to make people look bad, even when it is completely their fault. No, not really. If it's their fault, it's their fucking fault. Your personal work style is closer to spontaneous burst of energy than organized and consistent efforts, yes. When someone thinks highly of you, you wonder how long it will take them to feel disappointed in you. When someone thinks highly of you, you wonder how long it will take them to feel disappointed in you. So, Shay, I'm not stressed about the test. What I am, though, is cautious not to make decisions just because I think that's what I am, but trying to make decisions knowing this is what I am. So whenever I read one of these questions, I'm sort of trying to remember what people have said about me and how people have said it about me. Is this in line with how I think? Because I'm trying to be as honest as possible with this test. When someone thinks highly of you, you wonder how long it will take them to feel disappointed in you. I don't really give a fuck if people are disappointed in me. I've said this before. You should not trust me with anything. You would love a job that requires you to work alone most of the time. I have a job like that. You believe that pondering abstract philosophical questions is a waste of time? No. You feel more drawn to places with busy, bustling atmospheres than quiet, intimate places. Oof. So what do they mean when they say quiet, intimate places versus bustling atmospheres? What exactly do they mean? Because I love city life, which is busy, right? But then if I'm going out on a date, I would prefer going on a date to a restaurant that is, you know, quiet, intimate versus going to a bar, for example. So it should probably be strong agree because I prefer cities, right? Or should it be somewhat agree because, yes, I like more bustling, busy places, but I also like quiet intimacy even within. Like, I feel having that quiet, intimate place in a very busy place is almost better. It's almost better. So I'm actually going to say I'm going to put neither, because it really depends. There's times where I prefer busy places, and then there's times when I prefer quiet, intimate places. So I can't really put a strong agree or disagree on this, because it literally depends on the mood. I can't tell you. Tomorrow, I might want to go to a very busy place. Today, as I feel right now, I would want something that is quiet, right? You know, at first glance, how someone is feeling. I'm pretty good at that, yes. Actually, I'll say I'm very good at that. Someone walks in, I almost immediately know whether they're sad, happy, angry. But I have to know them. Can't just be a fucking random person. You should take it one towards agree. I don't think one towards agree, because like I said, it's a either or sort of thing. Live in a quiet small town. That's more the way I interpret that question. In that case, let's do one towards agree, I suppose. You often feel overwhelmed. No, not really. You complete things methodically without skipping over steps. You are very intrigued by things labeled as controversial. Yes. Indeed. You would pass along a good opportunity if you thought someone else needed it more. No. I wouldn't. Protaracon, how you doing, bro? You struggle with deadlines. I hate deadlines. I hate deadlines. I hate being pushed in a box and I have to do it this. I don't want that. Just let me fucking do my thing. I'll do it. I'll do it, but don't tell me when to do it. I am the example of, look, you asked me to fix the garage door. I'll get to it. Doesn't matter that it's 6 months. I'll fucking get to it. Don't nag. That's me. I am literally that fucking guy. Don't nag. I'll get to it. Don't push me. You feel confident that things will work out for you. I always feel confident that things will work out for me. See the results. Mind 52, extroverted, 48% introverted, 73%. This rate shows where we direct our mental energy. I'm 73% intuitive, 27% observant, 73% thinking, 25% feeling, 14% judging. This trait reflects our approach to work, planning, and decision making. 40% judging, 86% prospecting. Identity, this trait underpins all others, showing how confident we are in our abilities and our decisions. 82% assertive, 80% turbulent. Start reading. Why would I want to copy my results? No, I am ENTPA or ENTPT. What the fuck does that mean? No one loves the process of mental sparring more than the debater personality type, as it gives them a chance to exercise their effortlessly quick wit, broad accumulated knowledge base, and a capacity for connecting disparate ideas to prove their points. Debaters are the ultimate devil's advocate, thriving on the process of shredding arguments and beliefs and letting the ribbons drift in the wind for all to see. They don't always do this because they are trying to achieve some deeper purpose or strategic goal, though. Sometimes it's for the simple reason that it's fun. That is so fucking true. An odd juxtaposition arises with debaters, as they are uncompromisingly honest, but will argue tirelessly for something they don't actually believe in, stepping into another's shoes to argue a truth from another perspective. I've literally done that in the past. I have literally done that just because everyone was agreeing with this thing, and I wanted to cause some shit. So I'll just take up a position that I know I don't necessarily believe in, but I'll defend it. Playing the devil's advocate helps people with the debater personality type to not only develop a better sense of others' reasoning, but a better understanding of opposing ideas, since debaters are the ones arguing them. This tactic shouldn't be confused with the sort of mutual understanding diplomat personalities seek. Debaters, like an analyst personality types, are on a constant quest for knowledge, and what better way to gain it than to attack and defend an idea from every angle, from every side. Breaking the rules. Follow the path of the unsafe independent thinker, expose your ideas to the dangers of controversy, speak your mind and fear less the label of crackpot than the stigma of conformity, and on issues that seem important to you. Stand up and be counted at any cost. Taking a certain pleasure in being the underdog, debaters enjoy the mental exercise found in questioning the prevailing mode of thought, making them irreplaceable in reworking existing systems or shaking things up and pushing them in clever new directions. However, they'll be miserable managing the day-to-day mechanics of actually implementing their suggestions. This is me. This is fucking 100% me. Is the stream down? There would have been a massive amount of Fs in chat if the stream was down. But this is 100% me. I will be the one coming up with ideas, but do not fucking ask me to implement them. I don't want to implement them. I just want to. I just want to be the one to say this would be a good idea. Debate personalities love to brainstorm and think big, but they will avoid getting caught doing the grunt work at all costs. Yes. Debaters only make up about 3% of the population, which is just right, as it lets them create original ideas, then step back and let more numerous and fastidious personalities handle the logistics of implementation and maintenance. Debaters' capacity for debate can be a vexing one. While often appreciated when it's called for, it can fall painfully flat when they step on others' toes by openly questioning their boss in a meeting or picking apart everything their significant other has to say. This is further complicated by debaters' unyielding honesty, as this type doesn't mince words and cares little about being seen as sensitive or compassionate. Like-minded types get along well enough with people with the debater personality type, but more sensitive types and society in general are often conflict-averse, preferring feelings, comfort, and even white lies over unpleasant truths and hard rationality. This frustrates debaters, and they find that their quarrelsome fun burns many bridges, oftentimes inadvertently, as they plow through others' thresholds for having their beliefs questioned and their feelings brushed aside, treating others as they'd be treated. Debaters have little tolerance for being coddled and dislike when people beat around the bush, especially when asking a favor. Fuck, bro. This is actually... This is quite accurate. If you're gonna ask me something, just fucking ask. My stepmom has this sort of thing that she does where she'll phone me up and she'll want to ask me something, but then she'll want to explain why she's asking me the thing, and I'll be like, just ask. Just fucking ask. You're going to interrupt my life now. You're gonna give me something that I don't want to do, that I have to fucking do for you. Don't waste my time. Just ask. Just fucking ask me the question. Because, God, I lose my mind when people go, oh, you know, so this thing happened, and then this thing happened, and so this is now a problem, and this is why I can't do it myself. It's like, get the fuck off. You can do it yourself. You don't want to do it yourself. That's why you're asking me. So just ask the question. Debaters will naturally find themselves respected for their vision, confidence, knowledge, and keen sense of humor, but often struggle to utilize these qualities as the basis for deeper friendships and romantic relationships. Achieving their potential. Debaters have a longer road than most in harnessing their natural abilities. Their intellectual independence and freeform vision are tremendously valuable when they're in charge, or at least have the ear of someone who is. But getting there can take a level of follow-through that debaters struggle with. Once they've secured such a position, debaters need to remember that for their ideas to come to fruition, they will always depend on others to assemble the pieces. If they spend more time winning arguments than they have building consensus, many debaters will find they simply don't have the support necessary to be successful. Playing devil's advocate so well, people with this personality type may find that the most complex and rewarding intellectual challenge is to understand a more sentimental perspective and to argue consideration and compromise alongside logic and progress. Okay. He's ENTPA. Yeah, that's what I am. Not sure what that means, but yeah. What about romantic relationships? Let's see here. If there's one thing debaters are good at, it's coming up with a never-ending stream of innovations and ideas to keep things moving forward. And this is evident in the romantic relationships as well. For people with the debater personality type, growth is key, and even before they found a dating partner, they imagine all the ways that they can experience new things together to grow in tandem. This can be an overwhelming process if their partner doesn't match up. But when debaters find someone who shares their love of intellectual exploration, watch out. This is very true. Right? This is very true. Sparks may fly. From the earliest dates, debaters test their partner's limits for this kind of potential, pushing boundaries and traditions, looking for open-mindedness and spontaneity. Dating debater personalities is hardly a boring experience, and they make use of their enthusiasm and creativity by delighting and surprising their partners with new ideas and experiences. Debaters' idea of fun is often rooted in self-improvement, and people with this personality type bring their partners along the way as much in a spirit of sharing as in a spirit of expectation. Debaters see either growth or stagnation, and don't buy into the idea of a happy status quo, making them demanding as much as they are exciting. Some may tire in the face of this constant improvement. I've told you guys this before, right? I am prone to getting bored with people very, very quickly. So if I have a girlfriend, I almost always get bored within a month or two because they don't challenge me. There's no challenge, and when there's no challenge, I get bored. I want to be challenged consistently. Some may tire in the face of the constant improvement. While debaters' vigor can be attractive, it can also wear down even the most patient partners. A little time to breathe and a chance to rest on one's laurels for a moment is necessary for many people, but not something debaters are likely to appreciate. However, if their unwavering enthusiasm is met in kind, it can lead to a magnificent relationship characterized by its strength, depth, and spark. Friendships. Loyalty, support, emotional feedback. These are not what debaters look for in their friendship. True. Because Sylvanas was constantly making me guess. Strengths and weaknesses. Knowledgeable, quick thinkers, original, excellent brainstormers, charismatic, energetic. Debater weaknesses. Very argumentative. Yes. Insensitive. Yes. Intolerant. Sometimes. Can find it difficult to focus. Yes. Dislike practical matters? Absolutely. This is true. Enneagram next. What the fuck is the Enneagram? Anyway, so apparently I am an ENTPA. ENTPA or ENTPT. What is the difference between these two? Assertive debater versus turbulent debater. Oh, okay, never mind. So that's me. For anyone that's ever wondered, that is me. I'm apparently the debater. Making the honest, make you guess? True. You want your GF to challenge you? What? Eleanor, the thing I hate most when it comes to, like, relationships is I've had one girlfriend like this in my entire life where this was really evident. I would say something and they would just agree. Like, they would never challenge me. They would never be like, but I think you're wrong. And I think the relationship lasted about a week. And I left her. I was like, no, this is not working. You see, I want to be challenged. I want to, if I say something, I want someone to go, but wait a second, did you think about this, this, or this? And then we can argue about it, and we can debate about it, and we can figure it out. I want them to have their own ideas about stuff, and not just whatever my ideas are becomes the ideas of the fucking relationship. I hate that. Boy, I don't think so. You get people that just don't want to cause shit. Like, they don't. And also, I don't like being in relationships where people aren't a little bit controversial. But I want controversy. Art Breeder, just to see how fast he can make something horrifying. What the fuck is Art Breeder? Apocalypse, I agree with you. Because there's some things that I rate through here that was very on point. That is me. That's how I act in general. But then there are things where you look at it and you go, that's not really me. Right? Because you're right. This is why most of the time personality tests are administered by psychologists. Right? Wait, Shimakaze, you're a Mormon? I don't even know that. At a .com? What? To what, Shay? Artbreeder.com. Okay, hold up. Let me see this. What the fuck is this? Alright. Thousands of views have collectively made. Okay, so wait. What's the point of this? To be a pastor at one point? Wow. Got an alien who completed his spore game. Alright, so let's start. I'm not gonna... Fuck that. I'm not logging into something. Screw that. I'll try it offline, but I'm not gonna try that now. Look, okay, I'll make an account and we'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll do Art Breeder. I have a video that I wanted to watch. Before we continue with anything, I have a video that I wanted to watch. And then tomorrow we can do the other things here. So we will start with this one because this is funny as shit.
Late.
So you all know what the Dreamworld thing is, right? Let me just make sure everyone is caught up. Dreamworld is a complete and utter joke. It is. Dunscape, thank you much for the follow, dude. Really fucking appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a complete ripoff. These guys are not making a game. People should not be giving them money, and yet people are giving them money. Right? This is one of those MMO scams that you get quite often. So I'm really looking forward to this. Because I've been following this very closely.
Ladies and gentlemen, after an entire weekend of working the pole, I sat down and I thought to myself, how could I degrade myself further? Naturally, everybody suggested that I look back into Dreamworld, so that is exactly what I did today. It has been exactly...
This is, by the way, after like $10,000 was donated, this is what Dreamworld called sort of the alpha of their game. Just pay attention to this.
A month since our last foray into Dreamworld, and my god, have we missed, well, a lot, yet nothing at the same time? This episode, as a catch-up, is mostly going to be Cliff Notes. But for the rest of the stuff, I am going to show you some footage from inside the Dreamworld HQ. So, enjoy.
By the way, this is exactly what they did. They charged people like thousands of dollars. They said that they wanted to like make the biggest MMO the world has ever seen, and everything they've added so far is just reused assets from the store. It's literally from the Unreal Engine store. You can grab all of these assets for free and use them. That's their game. Oh my god, look at this. Oh. Tula, thank you for the follow, really appreciate that. Welcome to the channel.
So, aside from that, what have Dreamworld done? Well, they've remade the city, everybody. That awful city that they made before is now, well, pretty much just as awful. They have, as you can imagine, purchased more assets, jam-packed them into the city, and cool.
What is this shit? Like, why are they putting multicolored shit? Like, I mean, okay. Over the Viking, thank you so much for the deal. What's up, dude? Really fucking appreciate that. 6 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. According to the Titans, they created all of this by reordering other assets. 6 months of Lordgasm and Beauty Love. Already enjoyed every second of it. Over the Viking, really appreciate you being here, bro. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, okay, so you're using a bunch of reused assets, right? But then fuck my life. If you're gonna go for a dark sort of Middle Ages theme, why are you doing multicolored worms on top of the fucking homes?
Hold it good.
What is that? What is that? At which point did you go, you know what would look cool? A multicolored fucking worm on the top of the house. Vorum dear, thank you so much for the gift and sub. Did really appreciate it. Can we get some love and chat? 10 community subs. Can we get some love and chat to Voromir for the 10 community subs? Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's like DS, Teletubbies. It really is.
They also, for some reason, felt the need to mix up the buildings a little bit. All the roof tiles were just too similar, so they replaced one of the roofs with a book.
Jesus.
Right, cool.
Jesus.
But
Lady Survival, how you doing? Ladies and gentlemen, can we get some love in chat for Lady Survival?
besides that, of course, these guys have been ploughing on with their amazing updates. One of which being...
Oh wait, I just want you guys to see this. This is the alpha for their game. This is the alpha. Dunscape, thank you for the first time chat, dude. Really appreciate it. This is the alpha. Can you guys see the sort of theme that they're going for? Like, I can feel there's a theme in this city. It just it hits you right in the feels. As soon as you get in the city, you can immediately tell what this city is about. Fucking chaos.
Amazing updates. One of which being water. We actually have water. For some reason, there is still the ice underneath the water that used to be the old water, but it's okay. We now have ice on the sea floor with water, but that's the least of our worries, though. Because for some reason, they didn't even think to test this water. You may be thinking, well, what can be wrong with this water? Surely it's something they miss in like QA testing. They don't do quality assurance testing. But no, the bug is that when you get close to water, it turns black. That's pretty hard not to test, considering that 90% of the world is now water. And of course, that's just to kickstart the list of things they've done that make no sense, that are stupid, and that just don't belong. Next up, they have made 6 crafting systems that are all using an identical interface and code. Now, here's what I can tell you. Let's just hope to God that if they want to change one of these crafting systems or production systems, that they want to change the other 5 with it as well. Because they're going to have to. As it is all using the same interface with a swapped background, meaning that they really don't have any wiggle room for changing this. Now, have you ever just been walking around in the wild.
Wait, seriously? Just a black bar with white letters on it. Come back later, but don't let others take your stuff. Oh, for fuck's sake, dude.
Now, have you ever just been walking around in the wild and wanted to open a chest, and then open that chest, and then open that chest? Well, good news. With the new update of Schrodinger's chest, the chest is neither empty nor full. Every chest you can find in the wild, you can now open multiple times and infinitely loot them. Because as we know, anytime any of them go anywhere near the code for chests, something catastrophically breaks. And in this case, they just...
Oh my god, dude. Lady Survival, this is an actual game. So the dude put out this... I guess we should just, like, hold up. Let's just quickly do a thing. Let's do a thing with a thing. So the dude put out, like, this video, right? I wonder if I can find the intro to it. I know Kira did a pretty... Is it this one where he started it off? Let's just quickly see.
I'm going to try and provide you with all the details required to get caught up with the rabbit hole that is Dreamworld, the most ridiculous of video game crowdfunding projects that I've ever witnessed. This story has everything a good drama needs: romance, betrayal, child labor, nepotism, redemption, incompetence, and taking money from children. Bear in mind the footage of Dreamworld is so disgustingly bad that I'll try to use it as little.
Dreamworld announcement, maybe? I just want to get the guy's initial announcement. Because the dude did this whole thing, right? Where he came out and he was like, his girlfriend left him, and then his friends left him, and this happened and that happened, and then at the bottom, he was at the bottom. There was nothing left for him. He finally rose from the ashes, and he's now gonna make this MMO, right? He's gonna make this MMO. But it feels like I don't think anyone is actually fucking, like, I don't think that's available. I guess they've removed that. But anyway, so people actually bought into this. And literally, they have a 14-year-old mod on their Discord. There's a 14-year-old that is a mod on their fucking Discord. This is the guys from Dreamworld. This is their game. This is what people paid $65,000 for. This is the game.
Keep randomly generating random shit. So, congratulations, guys. 10 out of 10 on that one. They also added over 100 new resources, but then very quickly realised that they didn't have anything to use the resources for. So we started seeing things such as crystal shovels that require fish to be crafted. Right, this is just one of many weird recipes. I don't even think that...
What the fuck? Jesus, you can at least put some fucking effort into it. Why would you need a fish for a shovel?
They know why they've added these. As an added bonus, they have also added the elusive flying ship into the game. Now, I say elusive because only the $2,000 backers received this. Now, here's the catch. I don't have any footage of this flying machine, and you might be thinking, but Callum, how? How do you not have footage of this? Well, nobody that paid $2,000 to play the game is still playing the game. Honestly, guys, when I say that there has been almost nothing done to this, I don't mean in terms of amount of things. Trust me, it has been an entire month of them jamming asset packs into this game.
Wow, that is like...
Jamming asset...
Look at that. You still have white blocks. Jesus.
Packs into this game. This is a sandbox game, yet none of these things interact with each other. It's just bizarre to me that this is their choice of, like, update path. And you're probably thinking they've only done dumb stuff in-game. Well, no, they have actually done something. Okay, somebody messaged me over a month ago, and they asked to remain anonymous. They've given me screenshots of proof of this, and I will provide these on screen. However, somebody's friend purchased Dreamworld for them as a gift on itch. Now, I just want to start off by saying,
How much do you hate your fucking friend that you buy them Dreamworld? Like, if someone bought me Dreamworld as a gift, I would block them. That's not a friend worth having. They bought you this shit.
if your friend buys you Dreamworld as a gift, that person is not your friend, and you should remove them from your life immediately.
True.
But here's the thing that annoys me about this. This person reached out to me and said, hey, I can't get into the Discord, all invite links have been removed. I also can't get any responses from emails. They won't give me the game that was purchased, and they showed me proof of purchase. Now, what happened is this person got an email, and this person didn't even know about me, my videos, or the Dreamworld scandal at all. They found me after this. And they came to me and said, they emailed this person and said, hey, thank you for purchasing Dreamworld. We'll give you your key after you give us your full living address and full name and blood of your first child. And naturally,
we will send you your unique single-use access code following your response to this email with your acceptance of our terms, I accept the Dreamworld terms, works, your legal first name and last name, and billing address. Why would you need that? I purchased your fucking game. You don't need to know where I live. You don't need to know shit. Just give me my fucking game that I purchased. Even though it is dog shit, it doesn't matter. What the
this person responded saying, I live in Europe. You know, the general data protection means that I don't have to give you this. Now, he proceeded to keep emailing them, say, hey, so am I getting my game or am I getting a refund? Hey, and just kept emailing them. Not aggressively, and they just wouldn't respond. Now, this person has no other way to reach out to anyone from the Dreamworld team, which is frankly disgusting.
I'm pretty sure, like, if any company ever asks you for that, so the reason you have companies like Blizzard asking for your address is because you have your credit card information in it, right? And so to ensure that someone doesn't steal your credit card and starts doing things, they need some proof. But I'm also pretty sure that the new EU laws would probably prohibit that at some point. I'm not sure. People who live in Europe, you need to tell me. But why would you need someone's address for a game that they already purchased?
Because they've taken this child's money, and they will not give them the game.
Oh, fucking scamas, bro.
And it's been over a month. So I put them in touch with the Gearstorm guys, as I'm on really good terms with them. Like, we can have a civilized conversation. Gearstorm are the developers that Dreamworld hired as contractors. Well, I got them in touch with them, and I was told by this individual that the Gearstorm guys actually offered them free copies of their own games from their Steam library as compensation because they can't do anything about it.
What the
How bad is that when contractors are having to substitute a game that wasn't delivered for the company they are
Can you what the
contracting for? That is disgusting. If your company is unable to provide a product, you provide a refund. You don't keep the money and keep stringing people along. But you know what? All I'm going to say is, Zach Garrison, do the right thing, because you know who this is, and I know that you've been put in touch with this person. Because one of the Gearstorm guys tried to get you in touch with this person to make things right, and you just never reached out. I know that for a fact. But
the Zach dude isn't going to do anything, dude. He's a serial liar. His girlfriend made a video about why they actually broke up because he basically said that she left him because he didn't have a job. And that's not why they broke up. Like, his girlfriend actually straight up said, that's not why I left him.
The bit that you're all here for, you know, the reason that you clicked this video, the developers have left. That's right, the contractors that they had hired, their term is over.
Yeah.
So what does this mean? It means that Zack and Garrison are out in the cold again. They're alone in the forest, shivering. Nowhere to turn but the Unreal Asset Store once again. So, I feel like this means that we're about to start seeing some absolute comedy gold updates taking place again. We're going to go back to the golden age, the good old days of Zack and Gary just slapping assets together.
Zeratak, thank you for doing something. Really appreciate that. Welcome to the Fat Fuckers Club. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And calling it good. We are going to see some comical bugs again starting from next week. And all will be good in the world again. And I'll probably start making more videos on Dreamworld again. Because, honestly, I feel that there's a lot of content-worthy stuff that's about.
I should probably start covering this game. What do you think, chat? This would be a good game to cover, right? We should actually play this game. Because I think Dreamworld is going to be the next big MMO. I think Dreamworld is going to be the next big one. It's going to take down Final Fantasy. It's probably going to take down WoW. If you've ever wanted to see a WoW killer, you're looking at it. You're fucking looking at it. This is the game. Everyone is going to be talking about this game. Soon enough, you'd obliterate him. Change your channel into speculations about the future of that game. Oh my god. I don't know why people... Like, this is a scammers. This is 100% scammers. They are just scamming people. And there's people that fall for it. The next game I really wanted to watch is everything cut from Cataclysm from Hirumarid or Irumarid. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's a very difficult name. Do you guys want to see everything that's been removed from Cataclysm? Like, are you ready to see how good Cataclysm could have been if Blizzard didn't remove it? Resurrections is the new movie coming out this Xmas. I'm looking forward to that. What has been removed from what? I don't know if I want to. But I do want to see. I do want to see if it's as good as... Because if everything that we saw that was removed from World of Draenor, if it's even half of that for Cataclysm, it is going to be a sad day.
Within Cataclysm, we were told that we would get the Abyssal Maw as a raid during the first patch. What is the Abyssal Maw? Well, during the quest and experience of one of the first zones of the expansion, Vashj'ir has you eventually wander to a whirlpool leading to the Abyssal Maw, a portal to the elemental plane of water. And there we
I remember this, and I was actually fucking looking forward to that. Like, I actually thought that would be... Because at the time, I was still hardcore raider, and I genuinely thought that I was... yeah, I wanted this.
Fight various creatures of the Old God and even try to assist the elemental lord of water himself, Neptulon. But at the end of the fight, we fail, and he's dragged away by a massive kraken.
If we ever have a chance, anytime we deliver a patch, we don't want to leave anyone out. So one of the biggest things is trying to always deliver a 5-player dungeon along with a raid. And patch 4.0 won't be any different, so we're planning to deliver a new dungeon, which would be Abyssal Maw. Abyssal Maw will be a continuation of the story that players are playing through in Vashj'ir. So in Vashj'ir, we already have a dungeon that's shipping with Cataclysm, the Throne of the Tides. So players are going to play through that and already get a base of the story of what's going on. And it's the same issue that we're dealing with in Hyjal, where basically you're going to play through the quests all the way through, and when you get into the dungeon, you're going to actually know what's happening, so it's not going to feel like something that's foreign to you. Oh, and it's nothing like Oculus. You're going to see the layout here of what this dungeon looks like, and it's separate areas, like almost like underwater. We've got these risen areas, and players are going to play on these each individual areas, and then they're going to travel from one to the next. So you'll get a view of what that looks like here. We're planning on 4 bosses for this. Anything between 3 and 5 we feel like always feels pretty good for a dungeon. So this is a look at the layout. Same deal here. This is what we start with and how we get things going. So you can see all that blue area is basically like a chasm, because this dungeon takes place underwater. The entire dungeon is similar to our entire first zone of Vashj'ir. So everything about this will be under the water.
I'll be honest. Underwater in Vashj'ir felt really horrible. I did not like Vashj'ir one bit, because the abilities didn't really work. Like, a lot of the abilities didn't work. But I still would have liked this dungeon. Even if they didn't make it underwater. Even if they had it like in a dome. In the same way you had with... oh my fuck. Names. He literally just said it. But anyways. Would need a bunch of design limitations. I just feel like that dungeon would have been good.
In the elemental plane of water. And we have a ton of new tech that we're introducing with Cataclysm that helps deal with players being underwater.
Slightly triggered. A ton of new tech that will help players deal with underwater. Like, what new tech? You added a funny running animation and nothing else? Like, there was no tech that was added at all, ever?
Whenever you touch the ground, you actually lock to the ground on the bottom. And then playing with your character at that point feels just like you would be on land. So we've done all new animations for the races, so when they walk underwater, they feel like they're actually moving through the water plane. But for you as a player, you're not dealing with odd camera angles or creatures that are swimming above you or 3D, perception issues that might feel weird. So we want to get that vibe.
Actually, that happened quite a lot. But never mind.
That feeling that players are underwater, but historically, obviously, underwater combat has not been a strong point. So we wanted to make sure that doing something like this didn't affect the gameplay. And I think we can definitely say that we know that's going to work out well because we've already seen it in Vashj'ir.
It's going to work out well. You want to know why? Because they just decided not to do it. It worked out so well because they just went, fuck it, scratch that.
This was supposed to lead into the raid, which originally was even supposed to deal with N'Zoth in some way. But the raid was even partially done, and can be found in the files. But after feedback during the beta of how players absolutely hated the underwater combat of the zone, even one underwater boss could be seen as too much for the raid. And while they did like that they could reuse a lot of assets for the raid, making it extremely easy to make, they felt it would pair in comparison to the Firelands. So they eventually just put all the work into the Firelands, putting all the boss numbers that they were going to work on in the Abyssal Maw into the Firelands. And then they just cut out the Abyssal Maw itself. And because it was cut, we didn't actually get to know what happened to him until Legion, when he shows up and we find out that he just kind of escaped himself off screen. Although short, something to mention, Firelands was intended to launch at the start of the expansion, with Skywall, Bastion of Twilight, originally called Grim Batal, which may imply that the dungeon was supposed to be a raid, or the raid itself was supposed to take place there, and
I love Firelands. Just gonna put that out there. Firelands was one of the most fun raids ever. Just so this boss was such a pain in the ass the first time we pulled him, like having to split the DPS and ensure that the DPS could control the movement of the boss. It was just such a fun fucking raid.
instead of wherever the portal at the top of the spire teleports you, and Blackwing Descent as shown at the BlizzCon announcement. Deathwing was given a humanoid model that he was supposed to show up in, however, we only ever see this model in-game once, which is with a bunch of drunkards telling stories about their encounters with Deathwing, with one of them telling a story about how they punched Deathwing in the face. Funny enough, as they tell you about his humanoid form, which is seen nowhere else in-game, this could almost act as evidence in his favor that he did in fact punch Deathwing in the face. We did get to see him originally in this form in the Twilight Highlands quest where you and Alexstrasza fought against him, as making him humanoid allowed you a chance to actually fight him. However, when they brought the game to live, they fought in dragon forms, while you were forced to fight a random chromatic dragon instead.
Okay.
The biggest tie-in with the artifacts, and then this is actually in
Back in the day, when people had so much hope, so much anticipation for what archaeology would actually become. Boy, were we wrong.
In the end game, is it's going to unlock the potential for your paths, the paths of the Titan, which I think Greg went over in one of his earlier. Okay, we're really not going to talk about that much then, but it gives you more flexibility in that system that you know nothing about. But it's very cool.
Yeah, that system that you know nothing about and still know nothing about.
And secondly, it's going to give you some very cool, unique rewards. Things like vanity pets. You might have a little T-Rex that's, you know, skeleton, or you might have instant travel to a dungeon because you discovered an underground passage.
You're going to be able to get these artifacts and take them to these different world groups that we'll talk about more later that have to do with the different paths of the Titans, and they'll help players advance along the Titan progression. So the paths of the Titans are new.
This is the same thing I thought when we watched everything that's been removed from us from Warlords of Draenor. This is false advertising, right? Because this is Blizzard advertising their game. This is them suggesting to us that we should buy the game because all these things are coming to the game. When things like this don't make it into the game, you're falsely advertising your game because you sold your game with a slew of things and then removed like 20, 30, 40% of the things that actually got me hyped for the game to begin with.
New way for players to kind of customize their characters. The idea here is that while we're doing a whole lot of new talents in the expansion, we aren't actually extending the
They didn't keep the talent trees as is and adding more talent points. Instead, they opted to cut the talent trees down and reduce the amount of talent points you gained from every level to every other level.
trees any farther than they are right now. So the 51-point talents that we have now will continue to be the 51-point talents in the expansion. You will get 5 new talent points to spend along the way as you get up to level 85. But rather than deepening the talent trees further, we're going to give you a little bit of a chance to get more points in the talents that we already have right now to make sure you're not stretched too thin. And then introduce the Path of the Titans, which is a completely new type of advancement. Every player is going to be able to choose which path they want to follow, and they're not limited by class. So one of the interesting things about this system is that a rogue, for example, would be able to choose any one of the paths. So, you know, some rogues might choose one path, others might choose another one. There also might be priests that are choosing the same path.
Covenants? Was Path of the Titans just reworked into Covenants? Because it's pretty much what I'm hearing.
So there are a bunch of new abilities and kind of passive bonuses, that sort of stuff, in each one of those paths that you'll be able to choose between. So it adds kind of another dimension to your character customization.
Path of the Titans was a system that would add a path around the glyph system we had at the time. This system, funny enough, was going to be the first expansion long progression system. Something that has kind of become a norm in WoW ever since Legion. Players would need to first find these special glyphs by doing archaeology, and doing quest lines for cults that worship their respective titan. Power locked behind locking yourself into a specific covenant. Sounds kind of familiar to something we have today. This progression system gave players a choice of a path, each to do with...
What's interesting to me is that they decided to remove it, right? And most likely they decided to remove it because they realized it would be completely and utterly unbalanceable. Like, they would not be able to balance this. It's gonna be a nightmare. Let's just not even have it in the game. Which I will admit, when I first learned that there was gonna be this Path of the Titans, I was very hyped for it. How naive and ignorant I was. Not realizing years down the road how much I would hate this system. Now, with hindsight being 2020, I am so glad that they didn't have Path of the Titans in Cataclysm, because it would have been a fucking nightmare. It's just interesting that even then, they realized that this can't work. We can't do this system, so we may as well just cut it from the game. We tried it, didn't work. Ian and his team seem to not have that issue.
With the Titan. These paths would unlock by doing things like questing, raiding, PvP, and even professions, maxing out each week. Then with these special glyph slots, players could insert glyphs of increased ranks, 1 to 10, each rank having 2 to 3 choices at first, with the devs saying it would increase your player's power by about 20% over the entire expansion, which these days seems rather small for an entire expansion system. Although it becomes extremely understandable when you see actually some of the abilities in one of the paths they showed us, Golganeth. For rank 1, we have Earth's Embrace, which reduce physical damage taken by 4%, and Battle Harden, reducing durations of bleeds and stuns by 20%. Rank 2, we have Medic, giving your bandages 30% extra healing. Fortification, a 5-minute buff which reduces nearby allies' damage taken by 10% for 6 seconds. And rank 3, Breakthrough, 5-minute cooldown to increase your damage by 10% for 10 seconds, only usable after you deal a crit. The system was scrapped pretty early on, as that was all we were shown before it just vanished. And with their vanishment, the Path of the Titan system was simply replaced with just the Prime Glyph system, which just acted as second major glyphs, but even stronger. Although
I actually thought that the glyph system was really cool. I sort of miss the glyph system. I mean, it was limited, and it was really... It wasn't as good as it could have been, right? There's so much more choice that they could have added to it, but it allowed you to customize certain abilities, to do things that, you know, you wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. And you were able to play the game a little bit different to maybe someone else based on the glyphs that you chose. So I genuinely miss the glyph system as a sort of a new layer of customization on top of the layers that we already had at the time.
Although most of them were just major glyphs moved up, with new major glyphs created in order to take their place. Something to note, the system sounds almost exactly like the Covenants of Shadowlands. However, the only different thing is there being no cosmetics. But locking yourself to a specific group that affects your power by up to 20%, while also locking it behind quest content that seemingly takes some time, it almost seems like the Path of the Titans might have later been reworked into what we see today in Covenants. Originally, the war...
Covenants is gonna be fine as soon as people can swap.
The Ancients dungeon was supposed to be a raid, although what we know of it is extremely minor. But with how much lore significance the War of the Ancients has, and how much effort they obviously put into the dungeon, it's easy to see why they were trying to turn this into a raid.
So, Battle for Gilneas is one of those. The idea being...
It should have been a raid. I'll be honest, it was a pretty cool dungeon when it came out. It was awesome, but it should have been a raid. It should have been a raid. I mean, one of the expansions that people have been asking for the longest fucking time have been the War of the Ancients. Right? People want to see that expansion come to life because there's so much of World of Warcraft's history and lore come from the Ancients. It come from those battles. So having that as a full-blown raid would have been just insane.
That players are going to be able to fight through the city and the streets of Gilneas City and take control of the different districts and fight it out.
Gilneas, as originally shown, was supposed to be a full-on battleground within the city itself, acting almost as a full-on city siege between two factions, maybe even being an epic.
Did this happen? I'm not a PvPer, but I don't remember being able to run through the streets of Gilneas and, you know, fighting other people.
Big battleground, as it was still supposed to be a capture point battleground, but within the whole city. And with a city of that size, it would have to require lots of people within it. But what we ended up getting instead was Arathi Basin 2 Electric Boogaloo with 2 less bases. During Cataclysm, a player made a request about Warlock pets, asking for the possibility of an incubi. For those of you who don't know, the Sayad is a race of demons found within the Burning Legion. The ones we see of them are all females, the succubi. But there is a theoretical male version called the incubi. However, with little references to them, there's no models or official artwork made for them outside of some possible concept art. Players have wished to see these demons for a long time, And after so much request, one of the community managers responded to the ever-growing thread saying that Blizzard had plans to soon offer a choice between male and female versions of all Warlock demons. Although with no time frame.
That was a long time ago. Huh. that was a long time ago. I'm so glad that it is something that they're thinking about, right? So soon, TM. We know it's on their radar. They have a fucking blue post saying that it's on their radar. So soon, TM, right?
Frame given, and it being over 10 years later, I'm pretty.
Alex, when you edit this, just add the John Travolta. Just add John Travolta going. At least it's on their radar. It is coming, right?
Pretty sure they scrapped the idea.
Our plan is actually to have 3 battlegrounds with the expansion. So one of those things that we want to do in terms of adding more in-game content than we've had before is to add more battlegrounds than we've ever had in the past.
Speaking of battlegrounds, there was originally supposed to be 3 with Cataclysm. However, the third one never came out, where you would push carts in a mining-based battleground within Stranglethorn Jungle, a diamond mine. Planned seemingly even since vanilla, it was a key point marked on the early location map in the Warcraft Diary. You would think this place never came out, but it did. Silver Shard Mines, one of the 2 battlegrounds that released in Pandaria, was originally going to be released in Cataclysm, shown as a Cataclysm battleground where it worked pretty much the same as it does now, except a slightly different shape, and with the rocks that could be attacked to block paths for a bit. And it makes so much sense too. The entire mine looks nothing like Pandaria, especially with the mass amount of goblin architecture, rocks that look straight out of Deepholm, and of course the literal troll ruins that were just copy-pasted models from Stranglethorn. Whatever happened to this place that made it get delayed for an entire 2 years, it likely had to do with those rocks, as creating collision where players are nearby can be difficult to get to work right.
But if you could do that, you just have to do it once and you have that in your fucking game.
So Deepholm is like Tom was trying to explain, it's not actually connected to Azeroth, it's in the elemental plane of Earth. The connection that it has to Azeroth is where Deathwing actually broke through the ceiling and actually came into Azeroth, thereby causing the Cataclysm. And players will actually be able to use that scar left on the Earth on Azeroth as an actual way to get back and forth into Deepholm.
Yeah, sure.
So here you can see a little schematic of the layout of what we're planning for Deepholm. There in the center is the Temple of Earth, which is actually it's an important place in Deepholm. It's a central location. It's now overrun by Twilight's Hammer, and that's basically where Deathwing was kind of nursed back to bring him back to the state of what he needed to be to break back into Azeroth and cause the Cataclysm.
Deepholm lore-wise is where Deathwing was held, with its portal being within the Maelstrom, until he was able to break free and cause the Cataclysm, even though the amazing cinematic showed him coming out of some random mountain, seemingly near the Barrens.
So Deepholm is a subterranean-looking environment, so it's almost going to feel like an enclosed cave, but it's huge. As far as scale goes, it's...
I did like Deepholm. There were a couple of problems that I had with Deepholm, though, which was the airship that somehow got in there. That was pretty weird. Like, why would you need an airship inside a fucking cave? But, you know, so be it, I suppose.
Probably the biggest zone that we're building for Cataclysm, especially since it's going to be the hub of all 5 of the new zones. We're going to allow flying in there, even though it's going to feel like an interior. You're going to be able to fly with your flying mount. As we mentioned, this is basically, after Deathwing kind of went crazy, ended up here, and this is where you're gonna get to play through and figure out the story of kind of how he...
Alex, I do agree with you. The story of Deepholm was amazing. It had an absolutely incredible story.
He's gotten back to where he is now. The Temple of Earth in the center is also going to play a huge part in that role. And like we mentioned, this is the central hub. So there's actually going to be portals in Deepholm that will take you to Vashj'ir, to Hyjal, Twilight Highlands, and Uldum, and you'll be able to go back and forth between those as a quick form of travel.
You mean there was portals to the main cities, and the main cities had the portals to the different zones? I guess that counts as a hub.
Deepholm was actually planned to be a major hub for Cataclysm, much like the portal room in Dalaran, with us using the place as a way to teleport to all the other zones. And it makes sense too. as we'd be working to repair the damage Deathwing did so we could possibly imprison him again. Although, going a completely other way of the story, Deepholm was not used, even though it had plenty of room amongst its side rooms for everything that a hub would need. It was obviously designed to house a whole bunch of portals, but only ended up having about 1 or 2. Vashj'ir easily is one of the biggest zones for scrap stuff, so we got a lot here to cover.
Okay.
First, the water combat was going to be overhauled in order to make the zone much more enjoyable.
We will make sure that it is not annoying to play underwater.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton.
That never happened. Instead, Blizzard just ended up launching Vashj'ir as is, and cut all future underwater content they had planned. Originally, the focus was supposed to be the city, with the sunken city of Vashj'ir.
After the Sundering hit and water flooded Azeroth, it actually ended up on the sea floor, and it's been down there for a number of years, and only recently has it just started to come to light with the Cataclysm.
However, that never really happened, the city we arrived to only being an extremely minor part of the full story for the subsection of one of the zones. Continue on with Vashj'ir, we have a few things about the ancient gods there. The giant shelled beast there, who, fun fact, used the Cthulhu model as their eyeball. These creatures were meant to be so much more, and there was a lot cut about them. So let's go over this.
We're also planning to have selected areas in Vashj'ir that are actually indoor, kind of like these big. There's creatures down there that no one really knows a lot about of yet, but they're ancient.
I remember, like, those creatures fascinated me. As someone that has always cared about the lore, I was fascinated by these giant turtle-looking things that just they're just there. I think Vashj'ir would have been a better zone for me. If the secrets of Vashj'ir was actually explored. That's my biggest problem with Vashj'ir, is that most of what was there seemingly was just there to be a place. It wasn't there to actually add anything.
And they've been there for a long time, and we're going to find out what's happening with them through the quest flow in the zone.
Sure.
First off, we were supposed to have far less water sections with the zone originally, with water being a majority, but not all of it. A good portion of this would be spent inside these Naga cities, situated within these shells, shown originally in this bit of concept art. Second, we were supposed to find an old god corrupted version of one of these gods, a twisted amalgamation of...
How fucking cool would that have been? Seeing like the old gods reach even there? Plus, I think it would have been better if we... Like, the outside was water and you had far more places that you could go inside to actually do things inside. If the vast majority of content actually happened inside bubbles rather than in the water, that would probably have made Vashj'ir a hell of a lot better.
Undersea life, acting as the end boss of the zone. However, this was moved to the Abyssal Maw raid to act as one of its bosses, and as mentioned before, that never came out. Third, we were actually supposed to have a major hub within one of these ancient gods, as when we arrived to some of the Naga, they've turned them into their home bases, and so we would do the same, possibly even making it a major city.
Nice.
However, with the layout of the inner
cool would
shell,
that
I
have been?
totally understand why they cut it. A giant circle-shaped city with no buildings and no flying sounds horrible. Also, spending all day inside a fish's body doesn't sound very fun. And
I don't agree. Would have been a fucking nice change of pace to spending all day in the water.
enough about a zone full of fish. Fishing was supposed to be updated with little events and special quests. However, this would not come to fruition. At least till Legion, when we finally got at least some little fishing events with the baits and special fish, as well as the fishing artifact with its own little questline, scenario, and artifact tree. That required quite the long grind in order to max out. Uldum originally was supposed to be a zone focused on the Explorers League and the newly founded Reliquary fighting it off against each other for the most powerful artifacts. Of course, leaning more into archaeology, as these two factions were the archaeological factions, and the zone itself is an ancient Egyptian zone, so it was perfect, all over a giant superweapon. Although instead, Blizzard seemingly scrapped this storyline, rather late too, shoving in instead a whole bunch of Indiana Jones references. Rather well shown by the fact it is the zone with by far the least voice acting, and the least serious out of all the zones. Overall acting as a failed comedy more than...
I did not hate Uldum. I didn't hate Uldum. It was fine. by no means was it the best area ever in World of Warcraft, but it wasn't as bad as Vashj'ir, in my opinion.
Than a compelling story. Ever since the Cataclysm beta, we've had a few unused voice lines. First of those being the unused traitors. In Cataclysm, you find within your ranks traitors, members of the Twilight Hammer who've infiltrated the factions. Archbishop Benedictus was...
It's not just time, Wildren, to redeem archaeology. It's time to rework all of their professions. Professions need to become its own thing within the game, with its own storylines, its own ability to be leveled, and the leveling shouldn't just be collect fucking items. It should be an actual leveling progression system where if you're X profession, you have a storyline that is attached to your profession and how you play your profession. And professions should matter. Not like what we have now, where professions are completely useless. They should matter.
Planned to be the Alliance traitor, and Grand Magister Romoth was planned to be the Horde traitor.
Romoth, you stand accused of high treason to Silvermoon, and of being a member of the Twilight Council.
Ah, the long knives come out. Is there proof to these accusations?
This document. It's your handwriting. I'd recognize it anywhere.
You leave me no choice, then. It's a pity, really. I had plans for our people. There is a war coming. And I've chosen to be on the winning side.
You disgust me, traitor!
You forced my hand a little early, perhaps. But I think you'll find I'm still playing from a position of strength! Feel my wrath!
However, they seem to have dropped this idea early on and scrapped both of them, only to then use the idea anyway, except instead of the Horde traitor being Romoth, they instead gave the role to a random nobody named Saranok the Mystic. Romoth in lore is a blood elf who was a staunch Kael'thas supporter, and didn't change his mind on him until later on in the Burning Crusade, but was shown to be very loyal to Lor'themar after he decided to change his mind, and so his betrayal didn't make much sense. Although they could have just easily said he was pretending to be loyal to Lor'themar to gain his trust, but honestly it could have gone either way. Onto some more voice lines. We have voice lines from Bane speaking on the gate. That being the Great Gate, the massive gate that separates the Northern Barrens from Mulgore.
Open the gate! I will not let a single human step past me into Mulgore! My people will not be harmed! Sound the drums of war! For Taraho!
This event seemingly having been in retaliation to the Alliance's attack on Camp Taraho. However, with Bane taking a very small role in Cataclysm, it seems they may have intended for him to take a larger role, especially after his father's death. But as soon as they did bring him to the story, they seemingly gave him a full 180 from their original idea, as he was staunchly against any kind of retaliation against the
They do this every single time. They seem to have this sort of Blizzard wants to tell the story of forgiveness for some reason. Like, what the fuck is this? It would be so much cooler if he just dove into it and really just went with it. CCS, how you doing, brother?
Alliance. This explains quite well why there's this massive detailed wall to Mulgore that is used for literally nothing. This could have been an extremely epic moment with him opening the gate to unleash Tauren armies upon the Alliance within the Barrens. However, instead, the Orcs simply kick the Alliance out of the Southern Barrens on their own later on.
As I know it's kind of daunting to think, oh, I have to enchant my thing, and I have to put gems in it, and now I have to reforge it. But reforging is going to be relatively cheap on the scale of things, so you will need, someone to do it. And
Sadness for reforging. Fucking F in chat for reforging. Big F's in chat for reforging. I miss that shit so much, dude. So much.
And it's going to be given to blacksmiths, leatherworkers, tailors, jewel crafters, and
none of that fucking happened.
engineers. And so each one of those professions gets a specific chunk of items that they get to reforge.
Sure.
For example, blacksmiths get to do plate and weapons, and engineers would do trinkets and ranged weapons.
Originally, reforging was going to be a profession thing instead of being an ethereal trader. You would need to go to a player with profession relevant to the piece of gear to enchant it in a way. a jewel crafter to reforge your rings or necklaces, haste into mastery, a tailorer to do so with your cloth, a scribe for your staff, offhand, and trinkets, a blacksmith for your weapon or plate armor, a leather worker for your leather,
All the sadness of what professions could have been, hey?
engineer for your ranged weapons. You get the deal. However, this was scrapped in preference for just an NPC. As with each new piece of gear, you'd have to go out, buy new gems, enchants, and then find various different players to reforge all your gear to get the exact hit/expertise cap would be kind of exhausting. Cthulhu was one of the most interesting old gods, and so Blizzard planned to bring him back. Within Cho'Gall's and Medan's storyline in the comics, Cho'Gall captured and forced Medan to resurrect the old god's corpse. And since at this point Medan was still planned to be part of the game and had yet to be scrapped,
I'm glad that Medan was never brought into the game. This is actually one of the stories that I'm full on board with them just not going that route. Anything that includes Medan would just be not workable. It would not be feasible. The dude is unbeatable. Like, he is just too powerful. As soon as Medan is introduced into World of Warcraft, the player is no longer necessary. You could basically get rid of all of the faction leaders because he's just over, right? Oh, look, the Titans are attacking. Medan, and he goes, pew pew, done. Let's move on. I've taken care of your Titan problem. Everyone go back to fucking, I don't know, doing whatever.
scrapped. This lined up perfectly with Cho'Gall planning to be a major villain in the expansion, even being a raid boss for the Bastion of Twilight. Although this never happened as Medan and his comics were abandoned, and then later retconned. However, in the alpha you would get whispers from Cthulhu and Silthus, implying his possible return. Overall, Cataclysm feels like it would have been done far better if it was split into 2 expansions, with one focused on the Twilight Hammer and the Followers in Azoth, with it then leading into Deathwing into the Firelands. Maybe it had been done that way, far less of the content would have been cut, and we could have seen so much more.
It's sad. It is so fucking sad when you see all of those things removed from the game and you realize that if half of those things were actually added to the game, it would have been so cool. It would have been so fucking cool. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be cut content. Let me be clear. There's always going to be ideas that when you first start out building an expansion, right? You have these ideas. Let's use the Path of the Titans as an example. You have this idea. You're going to do this. It's going to be fucking awesome. And then you get into actually implementing it and you realize, yeah, no, this is actually not as awesome as we thought it was. It's not actually going to be as cool as we thought it was. So, let's just remove this. Let's not go down this road because it's going to cause more problems than what it solves. I'm okay with that. But when they remove things like raids or dungeons or actual content that would give people things to do, that vexes me because... And it sort of plays into like time gating as a fundamental issue for me. You see, time gating, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the things that people should be far less accepting of than what we are at the moment. And I'll explain that a little bit in a minute. But it's because of the lack of content that you get stuff like time gating. And when content like this is cut, you just realize that I could have had so much more to do in this expansion, and instead I got none of it. PC launch with most of the raids. I feel like you should almost always try, at least try to do most of what you planned. Try and change it around. Maybe try and make something different if the thing that you wanted to make isn't actually working the way that you thought it was going to work. But just back to the time gating thing. I am a massive, massive, massive believer that time gating, as it exists in games, specifically in World of Warcraft, and I think if you look at most games on the market today, World of Warcraft is most likely the biggest offender of this. So I have a plan that I'm probably going to be doing within the next month or so. But I'm going to start a new character. I'm going to get to Shadowlands, and then I'm going to time myself, right? I'm going to time the entire leveling experience as well as time the actual playtime of doing all of the renown levels. Like, I want to time this. So I want to see how much time does it take me to do all of the content that they have in the game. I am going to be surprised if we reach 1 full day of content. That's the problem with time gating. You see, time gating is when a company when a company knows that they don't have enough content for their game, they add time gating. So they time gate the content to artificially bloat the content. Andy, did you actually do it? 21 hours? As I said, there's not even a day's worth of content in the Shadowlands. Time gating should be the one thing that isn't allowed in gaming. Players should absolutely resist and completely abandon a game whenever time gating is employed, because it means that developers could not be asked to make content for the game. Think about it this way. If you knew that you had more than enough content, you would allow people to play the content. But if you literally survive on people paying a subscription every single month, it is in your best interest to get people to play at least multiple months, right? And so if you put time gating into your game, it means that the only way people are going to play multiple months is if you actually have content time gated. That is sick. That is absolutely sick, because you're effectively selling the player on something that you don't have. You don't have the content in this game, and yet you're asking players to keep paying. There's actually a deeper problem with it, which is more psychological, because time gating content does actually show to have a significant effect on people with what's the English for it? When you have an addictive personality, time gating is perfect for that, because it gets you addicted to it. Because it sort of gets you into that habit of logging in every single day to do stuff. That means that they can basically get you addicted to their game, because you fall into the habit of every day you log in to do a bunch of stuff. So time gating is also, from a psychological perspective, just absolutely disgusting, because you are effectively creating a problem, and you're creating a customer that will just always play the game because they're addicted to these daily things that they do in your game. Which I feel all of it should be removed from the game. If you don't have enough content, then fucking accept the fact that people are only going to play your game for a month and then they're going to leave. It's up to you to make more content. You should not force players to subscribe for months on end just to get to the end of the content. What is this? Oh, yeah, I heard about this. There's a Final Fantasy Yoshi P is going to be talking. It's tomorrow. No, it's the 17th. So on the 17th, 7 p.m. PDT. What time is that? What time is that in Europe? That's going to be late on the Friday, isn't it? $7 p.m. PDT. They have more content, or all the devs just fucking lazy? Wildren, the reason they don't have enough content is because the content is split so... the content is thinned out because they have so many systems that require content. That's why they don't have enough content. 4 p.m. CET. Wait, how can 7 p.m. PDT be 4 p.m. CET? Andy, because it's PM PDT. 4 a.m. Jesus, that's early. That is early. And Julia, I don't agree with you at all. Final Fantasy is not boring at all. I am looking forward to this because we're going to get a lot of updates about Endwalker and what they're planning for Endwalker. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I'll be awake still, so I'll probably watch it. We're probably not going to be streaming it because it's 4 fucking in the AM. But I will probably record myself watching it, and I'll upload it to the Clips channel. Gonna pre-order Endwalker next month. I've already pre-ordered, so I'm good to fucking go. It's Giuliano. ASA is my family name. Ah, Giuliano. Okay. I'm probably gonna forget that, so you're gonna have to remind me again. I'm not very good with names and remembering names, but I'll try. Yeah, I'll probably be watching this. Fuck it. Why not? It's Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is, like, at this point, it's the game that I play the most. So very much looking forward to this. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Did you have fun? I am a weeb. If it comes to being a Final Fantasy player, I'll take the weeb one. If I have to be a weeb in order to play Final Fantasy, then sure, I'm a weeb. It is gym time? Yes. Actually, it's not gym time immediately. The reason I'm stopping today's stream slightly early is I have to go to the shop first. I don't have any food in the house, so I have to go shop to buy food. And if I stream for another hour, the shops are closed, and so I can't fucking get food. So I'm going to the gym and I'm going hungry. So that's why I have to go a little bit early today. Oh my god, we went through all the stages. I am simply accepting the label of weeb because you guys won't let me play my fucking game without admitting that I'm a weeb. And if I have to admit I'm a weeb in order to play Final Fantasy, then sure, let me be a weeb. But Final Fantasy is just an absolutely amazing fucking game. Absolutely amazing game. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you had as much fun as I did. I will be back here tomorrow for another stream. As always, same place, same time. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for spending your evening, your afternoon, your morning with me, whatever time of the day it is for you. Take care of yourselves. As always, be kind to each other. Be good to each other. And I will see all of you in the next one. Peace out, fam.